I've hit the go live button. I believe that means we are live on the internet. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you and hear you. And yeah, I'm here with the late Lord Haven, who was very timely in his arrival here. Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. I'm glad we were able to chat. What was it, 15 minutes before the stream started? Like you
Yes,
asked.
exactly.
What a great discussion we had. All those
We know
15.
exactly what we're doing.
One man's 15 minutes is another man's 2 minutes, but
That's
it's
true.
fine.
Do you like the included
It's fine.
picture of George 6-7ing?
I don't know.
Oh.
I truly don't. So Quinn, this ranking a Song of Ice and Fire character arcs, we genuinely have not.
We have not discussed
this.
I sent you a picture of this chart, and we have not discussed what we're doing.
No, I can I take a guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm assuming good person, bad person, obviously, you know, what's the morality of the POV character in question, and then getting better, getting worse, as in their morality, not in terms of the quality of their arc, like Gerb has dropped the ball. It means as in, like, you know, for example, Ario Hotar, right? He's like, let's say he's a really great person and he's becoming more of a... why did I use Ario as an example?
I was going to say, you chose the most static character, maybe.
I chose the worst example. But let's say Hyle Hunt, for example. He's a great person, and throughout his arc, he's clearly becoming a paragon of virtue and justice. And so he would be like in the top right.
Yes, exactly. Also, someone in the chat did correctly point out that we do have Martin in the bad person getting better category, but that's just where he was.
Yeah, well, yeah. Deep commentary on Germ's personal life there.
Yeah. Should we? I feel like an example would be a good way to.
Yeah. Should we do an example that isn't a POV, because POVs are quite complex.
Let's do that. More of a simple initial case.
Well, let me have a think then.
Sure. Also, I should say, thank you all for joining us. It's been a minute since we've streamed, at least on my channel. Be sure to, like the stream, subscribe to both channels, and if you want us to discuss or rank a particular character, feel free to do so in a super chat, or say so in a super chat, and we will do it.
All right. Should we give an example for a very obvious one?
Yes.
So, Tywin Lannister.
Okay. Good person getting better?
Yes. At the very start of the series, do you remember when we put him on trial?
I do remember. We need to do more. We gotta do.
Don't worry, I've got plans. It'll be in the future. But Tywin Lannister, before the series starts, he's already committed horrific atrocities. He's wiped out the House of Rain. He's wiped out the House of Tarbeck. He is a brutal man, and he's horrible to his son. So he's already just a villain by the start of the series. And then over the course of A Song of Ice and Fire,
don't tell David and Dan.
He waited until David and Dan.
I showed you that quote, right?
Which one?
Where they call him lawful neutral and said he was necessary for Westeros.
I think someone's mentioned that before, but I guess it was you. Lawful neutral. That's no. Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Show Tywin is a different beast, but even Show Tywin is not lawful neutral.
Yet the question here then becomes, at least to me, is Tywin getting worse in the series?
Well, I was just about to say, over the course of the series, so I guess you could argue that the war crimes he commits in the Riverlands, the what's the word? What's the French word for like a campaign of like burning down villages and crops and
I know what you're getting at. I don't know the word for it.
But you could argue that's not any worse than he was previously during the reigns of Castamere, the Rain Revolt. However, you could argue, I think you could make the argument that the Red Wedding is like a step above anything he's done before.
I was also going to say, so the tricky thing is, Tywin hasn't really actively been at war before this, but also the sack of King's Landing, I think, is probably the worst thing he does.
Yes.
Which is before the series. But I do think that the War of the Five Kings, on average, is worse than any conflict in the past.
You could argue the Red Wedding is worse than fewer people die.
Smaller scale.
Smaller scale, but the nature of it. Like, it is massacring unarmed people. Well, that's also the sack of King's Landing involved.
I was going to say, if the Targaryen kids weren't involved, I would agree with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tar kids, but the Red Wedding also involved is it Lucas Blackwood? One of the Blackwood gets cut down by Hostine Frey, and he's only like a teenager. I
I
know
guess
it's
that's
not quite the
true.
same as like a baby,
Albeit
right? But
teenager who is at war versus literal baby.
yeah, and the Red Wedding is in the context of a war,
I
but
mean,
it's
so is
still
the Sack of King's Landing, but also it wasn't super necessary. Like you could
it
argue
wasn't necessary
that,
at all.
and Tywin does argue that the Red Wedding is ultimately utilitarian and it's going to result in fewer deaths. But like the Sack of King's Landing is like pure excess.
Was it he says in the show?
Is it more honorable to kill a dozen men at dinner than
Yes.
however many thousand on the battlefield?
There was like, thousands in battle or a dozen at dinner. It's like, ooh, he kind of cooked there.
Kinda
That might have been
bars.
in the books as well. I can't remember. It was bars. No. I want to. I would say Red Wedding, within the context of Westerosi cultural norms, is a step beyond generic war crimes.
I would agree
and
with that.
And like it's not just our perspective, it's also from Tywin's perspective. He would know the Red Wedding is a step beyond, and he's doing it anyway for expediency. So I would say he is a bad person, and he did get worse over the course.
Yeah, I'd say
of
very
the books.
slightly getting worse.
Yeah, slightly getting worse. Yeah, the Red Wedding. Let's put him like here. Like
Yeah,
the Red
that's
Wedding.
perfect.
Oh, is he too far into bad person? Because there are people who are more evil than Tywin, but he is pretty.
I don't know if that's
bad.
true, if I'm being honest.
I think characters who get their hands dirtier, personally, you could argue are worse. Like the
Tysha.
Mountain and Ramsay. Yeah, Tysha is. Yeah, I would say Ramsay's more evil than Tywin. Like
I would personally, sure, yeah.
just for that reason, I'll put Tywin's like I'll nudge him here just to leave room for like a bit of.
Yeah, that's a
Is
good
that showing on the live stream, by the way?
yes, everything is in place. I've actually positioned everything really well. If I don't, not
You
to toot
have,
my own
you
horn.
have. But there we. Oh, that was yeah. That was just meant to be like a quick example, and even that turned into a debate.
Yeah, really. We do have a couple super chats before, as you select who
Already?
our first viewpoint discussion is going to be from a Channel of Ice and Fire. Excellent channel. Thank you very much. Hey guys, hope you have a good weekend. I'm gonna spend it working on House of the Dragon feature video and car hunting. Glad to hear this while working. We are glad to have you as well. And then thank you to RebelCod8865. Finally got to catch an Alt-Shift-X and Glidus stream. Wow. Also, Quinn, are you using Barbary, Themis, or something else for bar prep? I just bought Barbary at the end of last month before the price got up. Bar prep is ungodly expensive. I don't know how it works in the UK, but oh my god.
Damn, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's called like the bar.
Yeah, no, it's not the
passing
bar.
I
It's
don't.
something else.
Probably something absurd like toffing the wig or some shit.
Are we doing Ned?
But let's start simple. Let's start Ned. Let's go with Ned.
You
It's such
currently
an
have him as
genuinely
a bad person who is getting better.
yeah. I don't know where to put them when they're not. Let's put them under George. How about that?
Yes. Okay.
Under George when they're not being ranked, because otherwise it's just gonna get confusing. Also, it really is lovely to be compared to Glidus and Swifty. Can you imagine?
It really is.
Can you imagine a few years ago being compared? We truly are Quimbus and shit.
Bargain Ben. Yeah. But
Right, Ned Stark.
I'm very recently well versed in Ned. He's clearly on the right side of the spectrum. I would say he is a good person getting better, because I think some of the best acts that he does in his life are like the things he does in King's Landing as Hand of the King. Because all of the things that he does that do end up blowing up in his face are ultimately good actions and less being shaped by honor, but more by mercy, specifically for the children involved, after seeing the sack of King's Landing and everything that goes down there.
And you could, so he is a benevolent ruler in the north, and his reputation is such that even after his death, everyone's furious at the Boltons. You have the clans who refer to him as the Ned, and is like, we have to save the daughter of the Ned. But yeah, you could make the argument that he is becoming better because he's continuing to be a good man and an honorable man within a pit of vipers. Like in the north, he hasn't really. There's not much friction there. He can kind of be a stern northern honorable lord, whereas in King's Landing, it's almost more impressive that he's well, not impressive to people like Littlefinger and Tyrion who think he's a bad player, but in terms of sticking with his values, it's more impressive that, up against the likes of Pycelle and Varys and Littlefinger and Cersei, he's able to maintain his Neddiness, even though it leads to his downfall.
Yeah. I would say I would say pretty much as far right as it goes, kind of inverse of Tywin, but slightly getting better.
Yeah, slightly getting better.
Kind of exact mirrors those two in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. It's a little, and he does ultimately lie at the very end before his death, but it is of course out of mercy to save his daughters. So like, what a legend.
Yeah, he gets a bad rap. I think the show gives him a bad rap.
There is a bit too much of an obsession with, Ned Stark's whole. The purpose of his whole arc is he's dumb, and if you're honorable, it means you're dumb and you can't survive the real world. It's like that's not really what it's about. That's not like the sum total of Ned Stark and his character and his arc. It's not just the dumb northern guy.
It kind of is on the show, which is annoying, and that's how they treat his legacy.
That's how they treat his legacy. That's not how he even is in season 1, but post season 1 they do kind of treat it like that.
Yeah. It's also, I think, a lot of it, even in season 1, which is excellently done. I'm currently rewatching it for a video. I just finished the pointy end. I think it does suffer a lot for not being in his head and having those memories of the war so constantly present.
Yeah. Remember that one moment in the show where like he's watching Arya fight and the camera slowly zooms in on him and you can hear swords clashing in the background? I don't think we ever get anything similar in the show. Like the hint of a flashback, the hint of a memory through sound design. Like that's like the only moment that really happened.
Yeah, I wish we got more of that. I wish we got the Promise Me Ned in dreams, like in his fever dreams. I think that was kind of necessary.
Oh, imagine, because, we've talked about this to death in the show. No flashbacks. David and Dan just didn't want to do any kind of flashbacks, barely any prophecy stuff or visions. But man, Tower of Joy.
Oh,
like a really like surreal dreamscape Tower of Joy sequence in season 1 could have been so good. Oh,
yeah. Also, like, I'm surprised because Pointy End is when Ned is in jail and injured and at his lowest. I'm surprised Martin didn't include that in the episode since he wrote it.
It's quite possible he did, and it was just cut out because he did not have creative control.
Oh, did I forget to add him? No, I didn't. Someone in the chat brought up a character who is very much a parallel to Ned in certain ways that I also think is kind of an interesting one to discuss. Do you want to pull up Barristan?
Oh, I thought you meant Quentyn Martell. Yes, Barristan.
Oh, well, before we do, thank you very much for the super chat from Modkin Podkin. Thank you very much.
Myken.
Thank you. I'm very bad at pronunciating things. This is one of my patrons who was also partially responsible for the idea for this stream, which I'm very grateful for. Your content rocks, Quinn. Never stop posting. You're the beating heart of the Song of Ice and Fire community. I don't know about that. You help a lot of people with your content in a lot of different ways. Sincerely, Transcroll from Sweden. Yes, Haven. Now Quinn is also being funded by Swedish taxes. Thank you very much. That means a lot.
Damn, cheating on me with you, right?
Yeah. Also, Majin, I see you're still in the chat. If you want to suggest a character in addition to that super chat for us to discuss, feel free to do that. Because I realize all 3 of our super chats haven't told us to rank a character yet. So,
and if you want us to place it a certain way, like we are open to bribery.
Accept bribes. Yes.
We're openly corrupt.
Yes. And also, I know all of you are wondering, because of the divorce, this is all, going through the custody agreement and the various, spousal support things.
Divorcing a lawyer was probably the worst mistake I've ever made.
It was not a great call. Up there with
I'm getting rinsed. I'm getting rinsed. It's not going great. But hey, if you want to support us during our divorce, we both have patrons. Quinn has a patron, I have a patron.
So Barristan.
It's so great. Yes, Barristan Selmy.
Barristan's an interesting bystander Selmy.
Ooh, bystander Selmy. Best friends with the fraud of the
morning. I do need to do a Barristan video now, because I have a much higher opinion of Barristan than I do Arthur Dayne.
Oh yeah, I know. You had Barristan in your ridiculous Trial of 7 roster.
Which you should check out Haven's roster. It's pretty great.
Which you didn't have Arthur Dayne, even though George R. R. Martin specifically said, if you put Barristan versus Arthur, they're evenly matched unless Arthur has Dawn.
Yeah, because Barristan doesn't need a stupid magic sword.
But if Arthur Dayne has a stupid magic sword anyway, because
What are
Why
the
not
odds I'm
in
going
the
to go
trial?
against Arthur?
It's a hypothetical trial. Doing what? If it's 7v7, and
I did not.
Arthur Day...
When I made this Trial of 7 video, I did not think I was creating a bomb.
No, you were making a D&D party.
That is correct.
And you were being low-key kind of contrarian, because you're like, I'm not just going to have 7 Kingsguard.
Anguy the Archer
boring video.
clears.
Anguy the Archer would only take out Daemon Blackfire, no one else.
Barristan. What do you think of Barristan? I don't think I've ever heard you talk about him.
He's alright.
Yeah, good.
Great. I'll tell you what. The show bit where he says, I could cut through the 5 of you like carving a cake, that's one of the greatest lines of all time. It's
pretty great.
You're kidding me. But yeah, no, I'm with most of the fandom. How the fandom evolves on these different characters over the decades is genuinely fascinating. Like both on Rhaegar and on Barristan. Me, honestly, I won't say me too if you're going to make one, but I'll definitely help you in some way if you want. But like, yeah, just the way that the times, culture, politics, sensitivities have changed over the years, and it's completely influenced how we see these characters developed in the 1990s. Like, it's so interesting. Anyway, to answer your question, thoughts on Barristan, same as most of the fandom right now.
I also think it's not even
he's a
just
decent
the
guy.
Fandom. I feel like Barristan was written initially in a certain way, and I think Jaime's arc, especially in A Feast for Crows, and his memories of what Eris was like, I think it kind of fundamentally alters any Kingsguard perspective, especially one who served then.
I guess what I was talking about actually applies way more to the likes of Rhaegar and maybe even
like the Rhaegar Lyanna thing. I'm positive Martin meant it as some grand romance.
Whereas Barristan, the emphasis on bystander Selmy, especially in Feast and Dance, is like, George is doing that intentionally. Like, yes, he's a good man, he's a noble man, he's an honorable man. He's not like his compatriots Meryn Trant, Mandan Moore, Boros Blount, who are like cruel abusers, but
I think So Barristan is someone who I think is getting better, but it's difficult to assess because the actions he takes in A Dance with Dragons are pretty definitively going to result in the death of at least 100 children. So, I don't know. And he's clearly being manipulated into a coup that really shouldn't happen.
Yeah, he's being manipulated into a coup by the Shade.
But he's also taking action against a ruler who is a bad person and would be a bad ruler, just for reasons that aren't necessarily true. But he has grown, he has changed, and this is ultimately a good thing, I think. For him.
Yeah.
Not for Meereen.
I'm not even... My mind isn't even on the whether he's getting better or worse. I'm still stuck on the whether he's good or not. I'm still stuck on the... Because I was saying, oh, he's better than Boros Blount and Meryn Trant, but I'm like, yeah, but he wasn't in the Kingsguard when they were given orders to beat Sansa. Like, if he were in the Kingsguard and Joffrey said beat Sansa, would the man who stood back and watched as the Mad King ordered people to be, tortured and burnt to death, would he be like, no, Your Grace, or would he go, well, the King's ordered me, and then hit Sansa? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's more active. I don't think Barristan would.
Okay. He would refuse an active order to do something like that, but he wouldn't stop
bystander
other people
Selmy
from doing it. He's bystander Selmy. So in terms of his morality,
I would say lightly bad.
Yes, I think we should place them pre A Song of Ice and Fire first, and then we discuss the changing arc up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So lightly bad because
pretty much near the line.
Lightly bad, but another thing you have to bear in mind is what was the alternative for him?
Jaime.
Good point. I was going to say
if Jaime doesn't exist, that becomes a lot less of a moral question.
I was going to say if he just said no, the Mad King's like, okay, now you're getting burned, and it's like, damn, like, but yeah, he could have just actively, I will kill you, and a new king will be Rhaegar.
Yeah, and Rhaegar has his massive issues, but he wouldn't burn people alive.
Yeah. Oh, I into the bad category because it's sort of definitely a. Oh man,
I think bad, but maybe like halfway up, getting better.
Okay. I'm not sure if he belongs in the bad quadrant. I think he's like slightly into the good. Like he is fundamentally a good person. He's just like closer to the
I think
gray,
so.
murky middle.
The thing is, like, if we need like 3 more dimensions to this thing. If we're being honest, he's very lawful.
We always do. Yeah,
he's
he
very,
is very lawful,
like abiding by the rules, and that's sort of what's changing. He's actively starting to break some of those rules and doing that coup.
For reasons he thinks are.
Yeah, but that also
good.
I think speaks to why he should lately be on the bad side, because he is capable of doing that to Hisdar. He does coup Hisdar, and he does like kind of try to right the ship there, but he doesn't for Aerys for how many years?
Yeah, which is why it's from our perspective he is getting better.
Yeah,
he is, even if he's being manipulated a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And how reflective is he? Remind me, in Dance, how reflective is he on being a bystander? Does he think about it much, or is it mostly like Jaime who thinks about that?
Jaime thinks about it more than Barristan does. We're also in Jaime's head for longer, and his arc is more centered on that specifically and less on current events. There is a fair amount of reflection going on in Barristan's chapters. He thinks about the defiance of Duskendale as his both greatest triumph and greatest shame, because him, saving Aerys means that Aerys rules for another 10 years and kills however many extra people. So there is some. It's more kind of subconscious, this kind of arc and development that he goes through. And it's really interesting because of it, because like he hasn't fully had these realizations, but he's acting differently because he is lingering on these regrets that he hasn't really put into words. It's really well written. I love Barristan's arc and Dance.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see his long and happy career serving Daenerys over the course of the next 2 books.
Yep. Also, Michael talks about stuff in the chat. Very good point. He doesn't abandon Joffrey. He gets fired. So he probably would have stood by for at least some of that.
That's true. Although, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I think still don't know
he's good where he is.
Barristan belongs in the bad quadrant. I still don't know if he belongs there, but we'll go.
We do have a next on the docket from the super chat. Is
what do we have?
Euron.
Euron,
and then
Euron?
Another super chat
Micah.
from Jingle Jangle. Thank you. My brother is watching Game of Thrones for the first time, and he really likes Barristan. I do too. I feel so bad. Yeah. Also talk about Catelyn next. So we'll do Euron, and then we'll do Catelyn.
Euron, then Catelyn. Okay,
and I will also say, when we get to Catelyn, we are not talking about Lady Stoneheart.
We're officially not. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
I assume you turning Melisandre into Euron on the screen is saying something about who you think she is.
It's a deep cut. It's actually the subject of my next video. Would you believe it?
Wow.
Melisandre
so what do you think of Euron?
Actually, wait. I say that. I just realized there is the Euron will marry Melisandre theory in one of the many Euron marriage theories. You didn't come up with it.
I'm saying it was. I covered it and I think landed on it in a video assessing a bunch of theories.
I covered it at some point. I might not have. Anyway, Euron. So, oh boy.
If there's one person who could maybe be further than Tywin.
Yes, this is why Tywin needed to be shifted a bit. So Euron is fully on the end of the scale. We both agree with that. Let's.
Is Euron getting worse? He is about to blood sacrifice his brother and pregnant salt wife.
He is, and he's brutally raided and sacked the shields.
True. But also, I mean, I assume that's no different than what he's typically done.
Yeah. He's a raver and a reaper.
He goes to raves.
He reaps.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't sow.
Wheat. He doesn't sow. I love that meme. I love that meme of like me sowing. Haha, yes. Me reaping. No, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think because he's a lot of talk so far,
yeah.
Right? His bark's louder than his bite.
If not for the Forsaken chapter, I would think that a lot of what he says is bullshit.
Are we're counting Forsaken? We counting sample chapters?
I generally don't, but I feel like with Euron, you kind of have
with Euron, because otherwise all you really have
is talk.
Even
the stuff he does to Aeron,
and he takes the Shield Islands.
Yeah.
all that stuff is pre A Song of Ice and Fire. So we know that he's a molester beforehand. We know that he's a complete psycho who goes around raiding. He returns. He kills his own brother. Well, multiple brothers. Oh, and some of that is actually confirmed in Forsaken, the actual
Yes,
kinslaying.
but it's definitely there in subtext before then.
So in terms of during the course of A Song of Ice and Fire, using a faceless man to assassinate his brother, he's already killed 2 of his brothers. Taking the Shield Islands, he's already done that kind of thing. He's Ironborn. Like, I would make... Yeah. Is he getting worse, or is he just being Euron?
I think the fact that his talk is about to be put into action is going to mean that he is very slightly getting worse.
Yeah, I can't count action that hasn't happened yet. Although I will say, the tying up pregnant salt wife as a blood sacrifice in the prow of a ship, I think that does go beyond usual Ironborn shenanigans. Like that's more than just Ironborn brutality. That's actively like, what the fuck. So I do think he is slightly getting worse, but
I would agree.
There's lots yet to happen.
Maybe like above Tywin, but a little further to the left.
Oh, sorry, I misread the chart for us. I was not paying attention. Yes, you're right. I wasn't doing a troll there.
Euron, I don't think, is getting better. And then next up would be Catelyn. Bad person getting worse, correct?
Yes.
Evil Catelyn, yeah. Confirmed.
Psychopath Catelyn confirmed.
True.
Like and subscribe.
Worst character ever.
A Song of Ice and Fire animated Catelyn sociopath theory. 3 hours.
That's your next April Fool's. That would be so good.
that would be quite funny.
And of course, in normal like April Fool's fashion, I got like 20 ideas like the day after.
And the great thing about April Fool's is the day after April Fool's, you're just like nervously like, oh god, who's going to take this seriously? How many people are going to take this seriously? That's why I did 2 videos. I did a troll one, and then I did an unironic, just going through different fools and jesters. That was a cool one.
Yeah, that was.
So Catelyn, we're not including Lady Stoneheart. That's interesting.
That's a good question. I am inclined to not, because I don't know what level of like Catelyn that is. Like, is Stoneheart a white? I go back and forth on that.
For what it's worth, my personal take is that I never ever view Lady Stoneheart as Catelyn. You know, like when I read her, when I see theories about her, when people discuss her, I never see it as reanimated. Like I see Lady Stoneheart as a new character. Like genuinely, I don't see it. So when people say, "Oh, I want Arya to meet Lady Stoneheart. I want Jon to meet," I'm never that interested in those theories because I'm like, I just don't see her as. I'm like, this isn't Catelyn. You know. So that being said, I do think the ranking is more interesting. Oh, yeah, wait, I just realized the simple way to do this is just have Catelyn and Lady Stoneheart as separate characters we can rank. So, which is to say...
That's what I was going to say.
Which is to say, we rank Catelyn up until her death, and then we rank Lady Stoneheart as Catelyn and Lady Stoneheart, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's a good point. That's a good call. I was also going to say, I agree with you in terms of certain elements of Stoneheart theories, except I do want her to meet Arya, because I think it really ties into, like, this vision of what pure vengeance can become for her arc. But I think that also just has more to do with Catelyn not being Catelyn than, like, her having any memory.
And the idea of Arya maybe killing her and giving her the gift of mercy. Yeah, interesting. But Catelyn, right.
Catelyn.
She is the hot
a good
take.
person. Let's go there to start.
She is fundamentally a good person.
Yes.
She's a compassionate woman. She loves her kids to a fault. She wants, peace. She wants prosperity. She's a good person. The only negative you can apply to her is, of course, Jon. The way she treats Jon. Understandably, she's mad about Jon's existence, right? It's a reminder of Ned cheating on her. But the way she treats him is not fair on him, and it's very nasty. And so she's not Ned levels good because of the Jon thing. She's kind of here, would we say?
I would go, like... Actually, yeah. Where you are now, I would say so.
Yeah. And that's her basically by the start of the series.
Yes.
She's flawed. She's a very good flawed character. over the course of A Song of Ice and Fire, up until her death at the Red Wedding, does she get better or worse as an individual?
I think there is less change than the other viewpoints we've discussed so far.
Her arc is basically one of grief, essentially.
Yeah. And it's also her trying to influence Robb. And I do think her effectively being his hand, she both does a better job than people give her credit for, and I think she's generally a good person in doing that. She's encouraging him to keep his oath to the phrase and encouraging him to not send Theon to the Iron Islands. She's correct in those things. I don't know how morally good they are, though.
They're kind of not really.
They're not really
it's more
moral.
Sort of neutral. Yeah, it's more neutral.
Slightly
it's
good on
actions
the
during
thing.
war.
It's good to keep your word, right?
Yeah. In terms of stuff like, going behind Robb's back to release Jaime and things that actively undermine the war effort, overall, they're done with the intention of saving her children. So, like, it's, the mistakes she makes are to save the lives of her kids. Like, again, that's not really...
Angel Brightflame says Catelyn wanted to kill Jaime in book 2. A, she very easily could have, but didn't. And B, everyone wanted to kill Jaime in book 2.
Yeah. She was... Yeah, I'm not gonna hold that against her. The man who threw...
Yeah, the man who defenestrated her favorite son.
That she thought about killing him, but didn't. Yeah, that's not going to shift her. I will, however, bring up something I forgot, and how could I as the Frey guy? She does outright murder Jingle Bell, who is an innocent Frey, who has nothing to do with the Red Wedding.
I would say that verges on self-defense.
The threatening him was self-defense. The killing him after Robb was dead, she didn't need to kill him. She could have just let him go and be like, oh, I've lost. It's over now. She did it. But then you could also argue that at that point, she has genuinely gone mad.
Yes.
Not because she's screaming in grief. Oh, what a hysterical woman. I mean, when she's raking her nails across her face, at that point, it's I think she's actually snapped. She's genuinely clearly snapped. And I don't know if she's liable for his murder in that sense, oh, this is just turning into the trial live stream again, isn't it? I'm not sure if she's liable for his death in a sense that she's not in her right mind. She's gone crazy.
I kind of count that as her first action as Stoneheart.
Ooh.
But also, it is objectively her still being alive. Have we talked about in the past, her, initially what she was supposed to do?
What do you mean?
Wasn't there's some old draft, I think it's a G-Stuff thing from the Cushing Library, that in an older draft, Catelyn was supposed to, tear off her ears as well?
Damn.
Yeah.
Wait, what? How do you do that?
Good question.
Maybe that's why he cut it. I don't think you can... Yeah, Longshanks is saying not mentally competent to stand trial. Exactly.
I would say that's fair for the murder of Jingle Bell. Also, if we're going by Jingle Bell... She might have known that he was the stallion who mounts the world, and might have been trying to spare everyone, like Mary Mazdur.
The Omni Fool. All fools are the same fool.
I think she is okay where she is. I don't think she gets worse.
Yeah, she doesn't... Yeah, I don't think she gets better. The Jingle Bell thing is maybe she needs to be bumped down a tiny bit.
Lightly below. I would allow
lightly
that.
Below, just because she didn't need to.
She did not need to kill Jingle Bell.
Yeah, once it was over, she didn't need to. Lightly there, but again, not mentally fit to stand trial.
Yes.
What are her thoughts on the peasants? Presumably, the same as all nobles. I do not remember
her having thoughts about the peasants, but it's also been a minute.
They belong there because the gods dictated that people are born into specific groups
that is
for the
existing
sake of
in
keeping
feudalism.
Civilization rolling along. I think Michael talks about stuff. Said I think I've heard it takes very little force to pull off an ear.
That's next year's April Fool's video. We should do Ice and Fire Mythbusters.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Going through everything that happens and
even when I visit England, that's what we're doing.
Let's do it. You should visit me.
I might.
You should go out of your way to detour to go to my shitty backwater city where there's nothing fun to do, just to appease me.
Yeah. What do we think about Lady Stoneheart? Getting better,
Yeah.
yes?
Lady Stoneheart, definitely. So so we're counting this as
the full arc of Catelyn's life.
So boom, Catelyn. She do be murdering Freys.
I was gonna say, I'd put her about halfway down.
Yeah, so far what she's done is she's killed
maybe a little
Peter
further.
Pimple. She's killed Peter Pimple and Merritt Frey, both of whom they didn't murder anyone at the Red Wedding, but they took part in it. They were aware of it. Their job was to get the Great John drunk so that he could be captured more easily.
Oh, was that Peter's job too? I forgot about that.
It was Peter and Merritt. And Waylon Frey, actually. Shout out. Watch every Frey Explained on...
I watched it like 3 years ago.
Right, and Ryman, who helped orchestrate the Red Wedding, so that makes a bit more sense. I think where it really gets dodgy, beyond the, show trials...
Trying to hang Brienne, ?
Yeah, and also Hyle Hunt, and also a literal
Podrick.
child in the form of Podrick Payne, so... Yeah, I think she needs to be halfway down.
I'd say maybe a little further down for the Podrick of it all.
She's very... Because if Brienne didn't shout the word...
Sword.
She would have been like, you are all hanging because you are Lannister toadies. And one is just a fucking squire from the Westerlands who's 10 years old. You know what I mean? So yes, she is murdering.
Poor Podrick,
willing to murder innocents. Poor Podrick.
Yeah.
Poor Hyle Hunt, the goat.
Let me see. I believe we have a couple more super chats if we want to do those. Let's see.
Very nice.
Did Catelyn Tywin had thank you to CNT Connoisseur. Tywin had nothing to do with the Red Wedding. How would you communicate that information? He just liked adding to his rep. Also, rank Lancel. I've never seen someone claim that Tywin didn't have any involvement aside from people in universe. So Lancel, and then we have another one which does not request a character. Thank you to Snooze1927. Love you, Quinn. Succession video when? I've considered doing a Succession video in the past. I think it'd be fun. I have some thoughts.
I'm surprised you haven't done a Succession video.
I have a Succession video partially scripted. I have a Mad Men video partially scripted.
Let's go. I need to watch Mad Men.
It's so good.
Mad Men, Sopranos. I gotta catch up on some of the
two of my favorite shows of all time.
2000s, 2010s shows.
Yeah. I like Sopranos very slightly more, but
is that your favorite show, Sopranos?
I think it's the best show. I think Better Call Saul is my favorite.
Fair play.
Yeah, just I started watching Better Call Saul when it was airing initially when I was like 15. So
I know nothing about Mad Men except they're all wearing suits and smoking cigarettes.
Yep.
And John Hamm's in it with a big ass chin. Let's go.
So what do we think of Lancel Lannister? Gods, what a stupid name.
Lancel Lannister. Oh, this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so before the start of the books...
That's a good point. I forgot about Feast.
Yes. Okay, so before the start of the books, what do we know about him? He's just an arrogant noble. So I guess he's like just kind of in the middle, like in terms of maybe slightly bad in terms of he's clearly displayed as being a bit of an arrogant asshole.
Yeah. He also kills the king.
I'm actually going to remove surnames. I'm going to just...
I was going to say.
Wait, that's not... Yeah, that's during the course of the books. I mean, before the books, like, he's just an asshole. So he's let's just say he's slightly bad. During the course of the books, you're right. He helps commit regicide.
Who hasn't, frankly? That'd be a fun video, like talking about every Kingslayer.
Ooh,
Lancel, Jaime, Stannis.
That one rock during the Peak Uprising.
Elena / Littlefinger, if that's the theory you believe.
Ooh, that's a good one. Every Kingslayer explained.
That's what I'm gonna. No, dibs.
No, that fits my style way more.
Okay, we could collaborate.
Fine.
Remember we used to do that?
It's been Live streams are easier.
This is infinitely true.
But yes,
Lancel.
So he commits regicide. You could make the argument that he's, a teenage boy being manipulated by his older cousin, who's like, "Let's have sex, and then also please kill the king for me." And he's like, his mind is somewhere else. Not to excuse murder. Is somewhere
Sure.
where Jaime currently isn't.
So
And
not
then
with Stoneheart.
no, it's don't. Then Clash. I'm trying to remember. Does he do anything in Clash other than just be a dick?
Yeah, I mean he spies for Tyrion, and I think he's still with Cersei throughout that book, and then he fights in the Blackwater and takes a pretty major wound. And I think he's pretty much not in Storm, if I'm remembering correctly.
He basically he's just trying not to die in Storm.
Yes, we hear about like Kevin tending to him and being very worried about it.
So his hold on. Let's in terms of a Game of Thrones then. So he's lightly bad person, and then getting worse, he commits regicide. So I do think that needs to go. That's pretty bad, but bearing in mind he is like 16. So like there is
also,
a bit of
Robert was a little bit of a bully, but also I don't think that warrants murder.
Robert was a dick to him. Lance was not fully culpable because of age, but also, he's aware of what he's doing.
As much of a dick in the book, I would say. The breastplate stretcher bit is still there, but I don't think
that's true. Yeah, you get more of a sense that
names.
Lance was being bullied in the show.
Yes,
don't you? So that's a Game of Thrones where he's like, yeah, pretty bad, killed a king, let's put him here. Then let's skip to Feast, right? Once he's recovered from his injury, he suddenly becomes zealous, celibate, and remorseful of his actions. He becomes so faith-pilled that he refuses to consummate his marriage to Gatehouse Amy. What sort of madman does that?
But that's tricky. He's turning to faith, but has he actually like improved at all? He hasn't done anything.
So he admits to sleeping with Cersei to Jaime. Does he not do so in a remorseful way?
He does.
From what I remember,
yes. But also he's kind of trying not to die. Actually, that's the next chapter. I'm currently rereading Feast for my chapter ranking, and that's literally the next chapter up.
Does he not show remorse for killing Robert?
I am turning to the pages now. It's at Derry, right?
At Derry, I'm pretty sure he's very brazenly admits to Jaime, like, not brazenly.
I think he initially doesn't want to talk to Jaime, or like tries to. He's praying, so his people send him away.
Someone in the chat saying he does repent to the High Septon. Like that's how the High Septon knows.
Yeah.
Right. So he does repent. He is clearly turning to the faith and being like, I have sinned. Longshank says he gives up his lands and confesses. What else would you have him do?
So he doesn't tell Jaime that he slept with Cersei. Jaime outright says it.
Oh, okay. And then okay.
Yeah. And he initially tries to deny it a little bit, too.
I don't want to get mixed up with the show. Does Lancel confess? Is it Lancel who confesses to the High Septon?
So I think I'm under the assumption that he told the High Septon before he left King's Landing, but in terms of the confession that sinks Cersei, that's one of the Kettle Blacks.
Yes,
Osney? No. Oswell.
Yes, no, Osney. It is Osney. You're right.
Is it? It might be Oswell. No, which one's Osney's the Kingsguard, and I don't think it's him.
Osney's the Kingsguard. It's the youngest.
I think that's Oswell. I think Osfried is in the middle.
Osney is the youngest. Osfrid is in the middle.
Shit. So I think it is Osney then.
Oswell is their father.
Yes. I hate the Kettle Blacks so much.
I think he accidentally misnames one of them as like
he
Osgood
does
or some shit, which is really funny. Where were we? Yes, basically
we're ranking Kettle Blacks, right?
So he becomes a zealot and confesses to the High Septon, becomes celibate, abandons claim to, wealth, lands, titles, out of a sense of, I think, guilt and also trauma from nearly dying. Does that count as him getting better? Is he... I mean, I guess in his mind, this is his way of atoning.
Yeah, this is him trying to make amends.
Just because we might look at it and say, in what way are you actually atoning? Within the context of Westerosi, a religious society, that is an atonement. He's giving up land, titles, wealth, and he's being like, I'm going to, wear the hair shirt, walk barefoot, atone for my sins. I think that does scale him back then.
I would say he's closer to the line. I would say he is on the bad person side, very slightly
Yes.
above the line.
Yes.
Maybe a little further bad person.
Wait, above the line.
Yeah. Yes? Do you think it's getting worse?
I guess what do we? I guess do we mean getting worse by the end of the last time we see him, or are we combining everything he's done in terms of? I don't think him atoning in the way he does make up for
you're right.
murdering someone, but it does scale him back up, if you know what I mean. Where it's like he goes down for killing Robert, but then he goes back up because, like, I don't think he.
I think the way to compromise is put him a little further to the left and like slightly above the line, like as slightly as possible.
Honestly, yeah, you're right. Getting better, he is currently on a trajectory of he is getting better compared to what he was. Compared to being an arrogant kinslayer and cousin fucker, he's like trying to be, and unlike the show where the Faith Militant are basically a sort of almost like a Catholic ISIS style cult going around destroying iconography and like dragging people out of brothels and beating up gay people. Like that's not what's happening, and it's a lot more nuanced in the show.
Yeah. I also in the feast ranking I always forget how little time the Sparrows and specifically the Faith Militant have. Like they're not armed until Cersei 6 of 10 chapters.
Ooh, damn.
Like it's pretty light. But yeah, we have one more suggestion from Super Chat. Let's do another viewpoint first. It's been a second.
Let's do a viewpoint, yes. Let's go. Would you like to choose? Because I've been choosing.
Sure, I'll let you pick from two. Jaime and Tyrion are in the thumbnail. We should do one of those.
Oh, that's a good shout. Let's start with Jaime.
He's on the left. He's, I would say, decently far on the left.
Hold on a sec. Because remember, the good person, bad person is pre-series beginning.
Yes.
Right? What does he do wrong before a Game of Thrones? We both agree that him killing the Mad King was a good thing to do. He saved a city.
I think my consideration of the series, and I think this is reflected in Lancel a bit as well, is the arc starts when the arc starts. So, for example, we only enter Victarion's head in A Feast for Crows. I would say that is when the series starts for him and his arc begins. I would say the same for
interesting.
Jaime. At least for
POV characters specifically, okay, I agree with that. So in that case, we're looking at Jaime up to Game of Thrones and Clash of Kings.
Yes.
So pre Game of Thrones, he kills the Mad King and saves the city, which makes him a good person in my mind. He sleeps with Cersei, which, sleeping with your own sister and cuckolding the king, it's not a great idea. Him being a king isn't really relevant. It's more just like sleeping with a married person, also your sister. Not great.
It is also kind of technically treason, since it's the king.
It is treason.
Would it be treason to sleep with the first lady? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, well. Oh, I don't know.
Right?
No.
But like in medieval times.
Well, in medieval time, yeah. No, 100% sleeping with the queen consort would be treason. You would lose every body part.
Yeah. And then also the defenestration, of course.
Yeah. Attempts to murder a child to protect his incestuous relationship, and also that does protect the kids and his own life and Cersei's life. So, like, he does it in terms of, if I don't do this, we're both dead. Me and my loved one are dead, but also he murders a child. Like, he put himself in that situation.
Yeah. And he kills kills Delp. He kills Delp in A Clash of Kings.
He kills Delp. He's the one who kills Delp.
He's the one who kills Delp, I believe. Wait, no, is it him or is it Karstark? I don't remember. Fuck.
I'm the guy in the chair. Don't you worry.
Give me my Delp info. I think it's Karstark, now that I'm thinking about it.
Wait. Yeah. He's killed during Rickard Karstark's murder of Willem Lannister.
Yes.
No, he's wounded.
He's the guard.
He's wounded while recapturing Jaime.
And then
by Jaime.
Yeah. Got it.
But he survives, but then gets killed by Rickard Karstark.
That's a shame.
Okay, so he doesn't kill Delp, so he's not going to go in the bottom left right now.
Who does he kill? I know he killed someone in the cells. I know it's his cousin in the show.
Oh god, that scene. Oh yeah, we're gonna see him killing people in a Whispering Wood. Like that doesn't. That's
Well, it's a
a battle.
war, yeah.
Does he? I don't think he has a scene where he like
Oh,
murders
Jory.
someone in cold. He does. Yes, he sets himself on Ned Stark and Jory to send a message because Tyrion's captured, and yeah, that is like a.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
I
pretty.
would
That's pretty
say
vile.
He's
I
not
do,
as bad as Tywin or Euron.
I think we should just quickly ask the chat: does Jaime kill anyone attempting to escape, like in the show where he murders his cousin cold blood? I don't think he does. I don't think that is a thing that happens. But
I feel like I remember
yeah,
there being an escape attempt. That maybe I'm just getting mixed up. Season 2 is the hardest for me to keep like separate from the show. I feel like because there are more differences, but it's all like still close enough.
From the books, you mean?
Yes, yeah. Like it's
so
hard to keep them separate.
And bad person initially, he's slightly behind Tywin because he's not ordering mass. I'll put him there, like defenestration of a kid.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Killing Jory, the boy, my boy.
Yeah.
But then the arc starts. A storm of swords.
A storm of swords.
Ooh.
So I love Jaime's arc for a lot of reasons, and it's interesting because he is very tangibly improving. Oh, very good point from Sean in the chat with withholding information about Tysha from Tyrion.
Oh yes,
he is complicit in that, and that's always it's an
is.
element of the character I've never really thought made sense. In
like,
a lot of ways.
Why would Jaime hide it from Tyrion?
And he was
why
like,
would he
already
do
at Kingsguard at that point. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, why would he do Tywin's bidding?
Yeah,
and not reveal that.
I mean, like, it makes sense that he's scared of Tywin, but also like to traumatize his brother, who he cares about that much. I don't know if he's that scared as a Kingsguard.
It's possible that he thought
he might have already killed Aerys by that point.
I mean, you could argue that revealing the truth, like, would have maybe he thought it would have traumatized Tyrion further, you know, because it's like, oh yeah, the person who, you know what,
maybe,
you know,
yeah, I could see that rationale, but I don't think it's a very strong one.
Well, I just realized that beyond just being scared of Tywin, it's also he doesn't want his brother to hate him.
Yeah, he also. It is an active choice, you know? Like, he doesn't have to lie to Tyrion about it, and it's not a lie by omission.
It isn't. It is. Yeah. No, he's not a good person.
I'd agree. This Jaime Lannister guy, I don't know. But obviously the main series. I view his arc as in, like, two kind of legs. In Storm, he is surviving and becoming a better person that way. But in Feast and Dance, he is having to reckon with becoming a better version of Jaime Lannister, because he's still doing bad in those books. He's just trying to do less bad because he is advancing his family's cause. He's just trying to do it in a more conscientious way.
Yeah, and he really does go out of his way to
catapult some babies.
Yeah, no, to avoid bloodshed.
Yes,
he goes out of his, like, with the Siege of Riverrun. That is him basically using his smarts to end the siege without, like, a mass, you know, without meat attacks against Riverrun, without thousands of people dying, and you know, he achieves his objectives through ruthless threats, you know, the trebuchet comment and all that stuff. But yeah, fundamentally.
Yeah, I would say he is still fundamentally improving, and I think he will continue to improve. I would put him above Barristan, maybe not by a ton, because he is still struggling and he is still actively improving.
Yes.
And I think the thing that he needs to do is fully separate from his family and their agenda, and I think that will happen very early in Winds, especially with him getting captured and now being with Brienne again. But
and you know that he's still, you know, he's not like, he hasn't had a complete 180 where it's like, I'm suddenly a good person and everything I've ever done is bad. Like, you know, he doesn't regret pushing Bran, you know?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a moment of that was a mistake. He's like,
I don't think he thinks about it that much.
You know? No. You know, he's still somewhat selfish and, you know, quite a ruthless person. He does take that from Tywin, but yeah, no, he's becoming slightly more honorable, perhaps influenced by Brienne, and he's becoming less ruthless and bloodthirsty, than Tywin was. And
yeah, but we also,
as Jenna says,
let's see.
So I was just going to say, as Jenna says, it's Tyrion is Tywin writ small.
Yeah. I love that quote from Jenna. Another super chat from Jingle Jangle. Thank you very much. Since when is it a crime to kill Freys? I think this is when we were talking about Catelyn. Also, maybe Abel the Bard next. I assume he's talking about Mance Rayder there.
Ooh.
Which would be an interesting one to discuss.
Mance's Lances.
Mance's Lances.
Mance's Lances.
Hard to believe that's over here.
Are we doing... That's been popping up in the algorithm for me, the Jeopardy video.
Oh, really?
It's cool. I keep getting jump scared by my own thumbnail. My own profile picture in a glider's thumbnail. I'm like,
Do you have to go defend your lack of Frey knowledge in the comments?
No, I just read the comments. Feeling sad. Wait, no, not sad. I won. Haha!
I forgot about that.
I won. No, that's a great video.
Yeah, it is.
Stabbed you with a tusk.
Mance Rayder.
Mance Rayder. We're officially doing Mance then. That's okay.
Yes. Because, I mean, Bale the Bard is like the character from the stories.
Yes.
There isn't really an arc there.
No. And then Abel is just like what's the word? Mixing up the letters?
Yeah, anagram.
Right, Mance Rayder. Oh, interesting. So we first meet him in Storm.
Yes.
Before then, basically, Night's Watch member leaves, starts uniting all the Wildling clans, trying to retreat south to escape the threat.
Which is an objectively noble goal, I would say.
It is a noble goal. He's trying to save multiple civilizations and clans and tribes, his people. And however, to achieve it, that involves basically wiping out the Night's Watch, which... I mean,
I don't know. I think
here's the thing.
He's also willing to go about that goal in ways that are not just straight up battle. It is a battle because the Night's Watch makes it a battle. That's not really up to him.
Yeah. And what were Mance's plans for once he got past the wall? Was it, okay, guys, we're in the south, so we now need to behave ourselves? Presumably, he knew bringing the wildlings south. Yes, it's safe.
Finding Nemo with the people in the harbor.
Huh?
After the fish escape and Finding Nemo, they're all in their little plastic bags in the harbor. What do we do next?
Oh yeah,
it's a thing.
I truly have not seen that movie since I was a child. That was the first movie I ever saw in the cinema.
Same. Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, I didn't know what
That's the first movie I saw in the movies. Yeah.
My mum was like, "We're going to the cinema," and I was sitting there like, "What's a cinema? Big ass screen, Finding Nemo." Ooh.
You waited a lot longer than I did to see a movie. I was 3.
Yeah, I would. Wait, how old are you again? Am I 2 years
I'm
older?
25.
Than you, or 1 year older than you? I'm 27, so I'm a couple of
ancient.
I'm Unk. You can call me Unk.
Mm-hmm.
Unk with a K. Unk and Twink merged together. That's what I've become. Anyway, man. Yeah, no, sorry. What I was going to say.
Speaking of.
When him going south, on one hand he's saving a civilization, but on the other hand he knows that he's bringing a group of people who are going to act in a brutal way to the locals, basically, to the people south of the wall. He knows that they are going to raid and reave and do wildling stuff. He's not like, hey, I'm going to change everyone when we go south. That's not Mance's priority.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a bit of ambiguity there, but fundamentally he is trying to save people's lives. He's not like a sadistic person or a tyrant. He's chosen as king. People willingly follow him.
I would say on the good person side, slightly less than Catelyn.
But yeah, he is.
But I also think he's getting better over the series.
I mean, he's trying to save. He's trying to save Arya.
Been undeterred from his goals, and I think he's been extraordinarily adaptable in getting them done. And also, he rescues Theon and Jane, which I think is objectively pretty good.
He does, but why is he doing that? Is he doing that to be nice, or is he doing it under a threat of basically do this or you're dead or whatever? Like,
So
we don't actually know why Mance Rayder's doing this.
yeah, that's true. We know it's something to do with Melisandre, and they had this deal and whatever together. But my only thought is theoretically, Mance could have just like dipped immediately after leaving Castle Black. Like he was not compelled.
Yeah,
as far
that's
as we
true.
know.
I guess. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think. Yeah, him saving, Jane
Especially
Paul
at such risk to himself.
Yes, and it may have been like he could be in a naked in a cage, according to the pink letter. For we
Kenny
know.
is pointing out that he has a ruby attached to him, which is like Melisandre magic stuff, and being magically bound to her. I don't think we can make that assumption. We know the ruby is a glamour. I don't know what else it does beyond that, and nobody else does either.
We have to assume he's acting of his own accord.
Yes.
Yes, so he's kind of morally ambiguous as a leader of wildlings, but fundamentally a good person. And he is, over the course of the books, he's doing something, quite noble and he is getting better. Is he better than Barristan?
I think Barristan has improved more than Mance has.
Yes.
I think that's a good spot.
Let's put Mance there. Let's put Mancy Boy there.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have?
So someone said the rubies are glamour. The idea that like Mance Rayder in Winterfell is also a glamour. It's like a Russian doll.
What if everybody's glamored? I've seen some theory. I think it's an extension of the night lamp that kind of goes further, and there are points where it kind of falls off for me. But there's the interesting idea that Mance might use the glamour to impersonate Ramsay to some extent, or Roose. I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Speaking of Unk, super chat from Nick of Unk, or Nico Funk. That might make more sense. Hi, Quindus and Alt Shaven X. What is your opinion on the sex scene of Jon Con and Jaime as they bond over Rhaegar in the Winds of Winter? I'm looking forward to it. Also, what's your opinion of Jingle Bell since he steals food? So
now that's the kind of super chat I've been waiting for.
Yeah, let's put Jingle Bell on there, and also thank you to Ent Famous Elephant asking where we're putting Stannis the Manus. I'd say is also another good one.
Ooh. Okay, so Jingle Bell
and
obviously
Stannis.
Needs to be
very similar.
And then we're
characters.
Also doing very similar. You didn't answer that guy's question about his amazing thing.
Oh, I'm anticipating it greatly. That will be the topic of a future video. Don't you worry.
Let's go. That one dark theory on the Dark 3 Reddit post.
I still haven't gone through that full post.
I'm going to do a stream. It could be solo or it could be with you.
I was going to say, maybe I have not seen this post. Maybe you can like introduce me to it.
It would be cool. It would be cool. I'd do it on my stream channel because there's some edgy stuff there, and I think it would be better to do edgier stuff on my channel.
Fair.
But like one of them involves Jon Kong sleeping with Arianne, quote unquote, in a moment of weakness, which is the funniest. Oh, I can't wait to show you these
doesn't make
theories.
You straight.
He says in a moment of weakness, he sleeps with Arianne and gives her grayscale, and then she sleeps with Aegon unwittingly and gives him grayscale. So it's like a, yeah.
That's incredible.
Incredible.
Visionary. Genius.
Anyway, Jingle Bell. So Jingle Bell does steal food.
Evil.
He is
worse than Euron.
I'm not even gonna play. He's Ned levels of good.
Is he getting worse or better?
I think he's just Jingle Bell over the course of the books. He's just being him.
Maybe like shrink him down and put him under the good person.
There we go.
Good.
I can't. There we go.
Great.
Man, what are we doing? Stannis, right.
Stannis.
Oh God, Stannis. Oh
Christ.
Stannis. Where do we start with Stannis?
So this will be about an hour, I think. Stannis Baratheon, famous good person.
Okay.
Someone in the chat said Stannis and Jon Con would be a power couple. John Connington is just gay Stannis. I don't know what to tell you.
And Ginger.
Yeah, gay Ginger Stannis. If Stannis had hair, think how different things would be.
Jared Harris Stannis.
No, Jared Harris, John Conn.
No, I'm saying John Conn is Jared Harris Stannis is what I'm saying.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, don't worry.
Stannis.
Your fan cast is safe. Stannis. Okay, so before the events of the main books,
his arc starts in Clash because that's when we're introduced to him.
True. Before then, he's just a bit of a mopey bastard.
Yeah, I would put him
not very
effectively
pleasant,
as close to the line as you can get. I would say slightly on the good person side by standards of the day. He actually allows Davos some social mobility, which I think is objectively good and rare in this world.
He does do that. He punishes him for his crimes and then rewards him for his good deeds,
which is incredible.
And he's consistent,
and I love him for it.
And he's consistent, and he didn't need to be consistent with a literal peasant smuggler, but he is.
Also, he kicks Victarion's fleet out of the wherever they were.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing his he's doing that to protect.
I'm just saying Victarion is pretty objectively a force of evil, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's doing it to protect the power of his family, but also in doing so, he defeats an evil force that is the Ironborn. So yeah, fair play. So yeah, he is ultimately a good person.
Before the
series. Of course, he flees to Dragonstone because potentially he knows about the incest, or he knows that Jon Arryn.
I think he knows about the incest.
Yeah,
or at least he knows that the kids are not Roberts.
And Jon Arryn's death, he's very suspicious about, and he's paranoid, and he's like, "Oh."
That is a good point. I wonder if they concretely knew that the kids were Jaime's, or if they just knew they weren't Roberts. Specifically, Stannis and Jon Arryn.
I'll have to double.
Because he gets that information from Ned's letter later on, so by the time we meet him, he knows
what Stannis knows is different in the books and the show, so I don't want to get mixed up. In the show, they have it so he basically knows nothing.
Yeah.
Just like Jon Snow.
Michael talks about stuff, brings out a good point in the chat. That being, we know where his arc is headed with Shireen. I don't know what we want to do about that.
I would say if it's not in the books, we don't include it.
I would roughly agree, but also it's interesting. I think I would count that more than I would count a sample chapter, weirdly.
Because George has just outright said this is happening.
This is what's going to happen. And a sample chapter, a lot of details are more likely to change, but like...
Yeah. You can't really rewrite something as fundamental as Stannis burning Shireen.
Yeah. I need to do a video on how that's going to happen, because I think a lot of people have misconceptions about it.
Oh, I would say leave it out. I would feel weird about
I agree.
leaving in something because it was in the show and it was confirmed,
Like, I've seen so many people theorize it's going to be to bring Jon back, but also the specific note from Martin is Stannis' decision to burn his daughter. And I don't think there's any way that Stannis is going to get back to Castle Black or, Shireen's going to come south until at least like 2/3 of the way through the book. And I think Jon's going to come back by the halfway point.
Also, another thing is that everyone's assuming Stannis needs to be there when it happens, and he could just send a raven and be
I think that knowing Martin's tendencies and just how he likes to construct dramatic situations, Stannis kind of has to be there. But you're right that technically he doesn't.
Maybe. I think it could work. If Stannis seems like the sort of person who would decompartmentalize that by like sending off a raven and being like, okay, that's done then, and not having to face it.
Kenny just kind of shattered my world here in the chat. Decision does mean that Stannis could fail at doing that. Like, what if Stannis decides to burn Shireen and it doesn't work, or for some reason she isn't burned?
That feels like
that'd be interesting
for me.
I don't think it'll happen, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, the Agamemnon parallels are there, I think.
I don't know what you just said. That's a Monster Hunter monster, right?
Definitely, yeah. It's a Greek fella who sacrificed his child for favorable winds, just like Stannis will sacrifice Shireen, so that it's slightly less snowy.
So he does kill Renly, which is bad.
Ooh, wait, hold on.
It's bad.
No. It's bad. How aware is Stannis that he kills Renly, though? How aware is he that? Because isn't the whole thing that like he basically has weird? Is it confirmed that he knows that he's created shadow babies that have assassinated Renly.
Nothing is confirmed because we're not in Stannis' head, but the way that Stannis acts and the things he says at that meeting between him and Renly before the assassination, he clearly knows what's going to happen.
Does he, though? Because everyone thinks it's Brienne, and he's like, "Oh, I had a weird dream where I was a shadow."
It's plausible deniability. He's trying to distance
that.
from this idea that he killed his brother because he can't rationalize it.
Or maybe he's like Melisandre, like, you know, took off the condom without him knowing, and boom, shadow baby, and he's like, "Oh, I keep having dreams about killing Renly. That's crazy." Anyway, I'm glad Brienne did it.
Yeah, I mean, what, for that 10 minutes, that shadow baby was the heir to the realm.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Stannis Jr.?
I mean,
Stannis Jr.
Hey,
See, someone in the chat saying he didn't know he killed Renly, as he tells Davos. I feel like whether he knew he were actively assassinated his own
such
brother.
Bullshit.
Bro, he was like, damn, what a coincidence that Brienne did this and Courtney Penrose tripped on a brick and fell off the battlement.
When we rank Brienne, we need
crazy.
to account for the fact that she kills Renly.
Yeah, we do. Wait, hold on. Longshanks has some pretty good comments now and then. He says, Stannis was guiding the shadow as he was sleeping, but it's unclear if he knew that was going to happen.
I think at the very least, Melisandre told him, hey, I have magic that'll make it so your brother goes away forever, or something like that.
Yeah, no, I'll concede on that. So he does kill his brother. He does.
Yes. He's also, I would say, even more importantly, and at least in terms of his morality and the moral arc here, he is willing to kill Edric Storm.
Yeah, he's willing to burn his own nephew,
aka Gendry in the show, but Edric Storm.
And there are other people that Melisandre burns that, you know, he has, you know, he gives her his blessing to do that, including Lord Alistair Florent, because he has King's blood, but also because he was negotiating. I'd burn any Florent.
Amen. Except Shireen.
Cooked fox, apart from Shireen. But yeah, no, like, he burns Alistair Florent for King's blood, right? But also because he was negotiating with the crown without permission. He also burns like others at the stake. Like, is it someone from House Sunglass or House Rampton or something? Like heretics, basically. There's a House Sunglass. Weirdly enough.
True?
Yeah, House Sunglass. They fight back against Stannis' troops, you know, trying to burn.
Oh my god, there's a House Sunglass.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And also on the march to Winterfell, the cannibals are burnt at the stake as a sacrifice, and like
true, but also cannibals.
So he is engaged in a very painful, brutal sacrifice, which he seems to be ambivalent about how much he believes the religious aspect of it.
Yes,
but he does seem to think this is something that
works. As a way to power and in a power in and of itself.
He sees it. I think he sees it more as sorcery than religion. He's like,
yes.
This is actively
like, in fairness.
Oh yeah. But then, of course, the argument is he's doing this for what he considers to be the greater good, which is him on the throne. Well, no, hold on. Him getting on the throne, you could argue, like, it's either because it's his right or because deep down he actually wants the power and recognition that he was denied throughout his life. And you sort of have to separate his lust for the Iron Throne from him going north to respond to the Night's Watch, which is a fundamentally good act, you know?
Yes. But also, I do think that is kind of self-serving to an extent.
Yeah,
it's in
a
image of
long
himself as
way.
Azor Ahai, and also like
which
happening to go to an area where he'll face less resistance in his war effort.
Yeah, and it will rally the North behind him, which will help him get on the throne later on. So it is he does want to save the realm, but he also wants to fulfill the chosen one. George needs to stop writing complex characters because it makes my head hurt. I don't like it.
I would say Stannis is near the top of that category, and he's also one of the few characters that I am happy isn't a viewpoint, because I think he's even more interesting not being in his head.
The idea of no kings being viewpoints, I do think, is a stroke of genius.
Agreed.
God, after that discussion, is Stannis getting worse or better?
He's getting worse.
Trying to save the realm.
He's getting worse.
But he's also Is he getting worse?
Yes, he kills Renly, and he wants to have his nephew burned at the stake, and he burns other people at the stake.
But he's also trying to save the realm from an apocalypse.
But also, it's self-serving.
But also, who knows?
I would say about halfway between Catelyn and Stoneheart, maybe a little closer to Stoneheart.
All right, you're bugging, but all right. I think he's slightly closer to Catelyn because he do be trying to save the realm.
Let's just split the difference. Right in the middle. Right in the middle.
This is just a shit version of. This is turning into a really shit version of the Glidus and Swifty morality chart.
A little bit.
We will forever be bargain bin or shift X and Glide. What did that one super chat call us? Wait,
I don't even know. That was a while ago.
Quindus and Alt Shaven X. I feel like. Anyway, yeah.
But Pioneer 10F, another super chat. Thank you very much. What is your opinion on Quentyn Martell accidentally stelming into the romance of Jaime and Jon Con? Well, it's obviously going to happen. I think Quentyn's going to have a lot of chapters and wins. Do we want to rank Quentyn?
What the fuck?
Do I have Quentyn up there?
You have Quentyn up there.
Good.
Whether we want to rank him is another question. No. Let's get this motherfucker out of the way. Quentyn Martell, he starts off as I guess he's a decent kid. Like, he's not like a bad guy.
Yeah, I would say lightly good.
Yeah, lightly good. And then over the course of like, he doesn't really do anything good or bad.
I was gonna say he's like,
he's on the line, really.
So I would say that releasing or trying to steal the dragons is kind of a more evil act.
Ooh,
right?
Quite selfish.
Yes, because that's the thing.
Because
he is trying to claim a dragon, but he knows he can only claim one dragon, and the other will almost certainly get loose.
He is risking lives for his own personal desires.
Yes, I would say very slightly, like Catelyn-ish, but maybe less good.
So slightly below Catelyn in terms of the selfishness of that.
Yeah, I think
it can't really be counteracted by anything explicitly good that he does.
Yes,
he's just kind of a guy going on a road trip. I fucking hate Quentyn.
I like the resolution of his arc, but some of his early chapters are among the worst in the series. Modkin again,
his arc only exists for the resolution, and that is not how you. That does not justify bloating a book that's already bloated.
I would agree with that. Thank you again, Modkin. That's correct.
Myken.
Modkin. Myken. Thank you.
Munchkin.
Mike and Pyken. Yeah. Do something forbidden. Main to themselves. Jon and Daenerys.
We're doing Jon and Daenerys.
Doing Jon and Daenerys.
Hold on. You can't send in a super chat and suggest two people. You can't suggest.
In this case, I'll allow it. We need to get to those two anyway. Someone in the chat suggests Quentyn as an epilogue or prologue chapter, which could have been interesting.
Yeah. I wouldn't have.
It would be interesting, but I don't think it could have happened unless Martin planned to end A Dance with Dragons where A Dance with Dragons ends, which he very clearly doesn't.
You just have Doran Martell talk about him to Arianne, and then have him appear during a Daenerys chapter, and then boom! Oh, he's been scorched.
Yeah. Also, the fact that so many people in the chat are saying Quentyn, it's making me like flinch to the chat because I think they're saying Quinn. I don't know. Anyway, Jon and Daenerys. Who do you want to start with?
Jon and Daenerys. Let's start with Jon Snow.
I don't want to.
I don't want it. I never have. I never.
What was that?
I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I'm going to close my curtains if you want to take the lead on this one.
Sure. Jon Snow is a character in George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. I would say he.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
What?
This isn't. You're like reading out the script to a video.
I know. I'm kidding.
You went straight into lawyer mode. I go for 5 seconds, and you immediately think you're in front.
This
of
is why you're here, to balance me out, keep me out of the suit.
I gotta.
It's like the Green Goblin mask across my room.
It's just your lawyer suit.
Okay,
Staring at
anyway,
you.
Jon Snow, my second favorite Jon viewpoint. He, I think, starts the series. He's a kid, right? We haven't ranked
Yeah.
many children characters yet, aside from like Quentyn and Lancel. I guess Quentyn's pretty old. Regardless, I think Jon Snow is on the good side in terms of where he starts. And his arc is an interesting one because his arc more deals with him becoming a leader than him necessarily developing in terms of his morals. A lot of his actions throughout Dance with Dragons are objectively good, I would say. And I think even those that initially seem to be bad are justified in such a way that I think they are made good. The main thing for me, and obviously this is harkening back to our putting Jon on trial live stream, is the 100 child hostages that he enlists in the Night's Watch. But if we're thinking of like the wildlings coming south of the wall, as we discussed a little bit with Mance, that is an inherently chaotic circumstance just from so many people entering at once who are not, a part of the realm as it currently stands. And I think Jon kind of navigates that in such a way to not only bolster the watch, but ensure that the leaders are able to, stay in line a little bit more. They have more of an incentive to not try to take lands for themselves outside of the gift where they're settling. I would say he's in the top right quadrant. I would say I think he's improved more than Ned or Mance, and I'd say he's about on level with Catelyn as a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So, Catelyn level, he's a good.
Yeah, they're very similar
Passionate
characters.
person. Could you say that the book starting off, he's slightly to the right of Catelyn, because Catelyn has the sort of Jon Snow
I'll
hate.
say that. That's a good call.
Yeah, Jon Snow doesn't really have any hatred.
He's also a bastard, though, so
he is a dirty bastard. That is true. And then how high up are we going in terms of him? He is literally
I would say roughly in line with Barristan.
In line with
Maybe a little bit below. What? Okay.
No, what are you talking about?
What do you think?
What are you I mean, he basically starts off as like generic mopey teenager, and he is currently trying to save the world from the apocalypse.
Okay, I see your point.
Come on, man.
I thought you were going to push in the other direction.
No. He belongs up there. Again, he's not right at the top because it's not a giant change.
Yes.
No, it kind of is.
I find it really funny that he's pretty much exactly mirrored to Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah. I'm gonna put him a bit higher. He's one of the closest things we have to a full-on hero.
That's the thing.
Even if
Jaime has changed a lot, but I think the reason he is not as high as Jon is I think he's limited by who he is.
Yes.
Like Jaime Lannister cannot be as good as someone who's not working with all of that baggage.
I think honestly, I don't even know what we do. I think Jon should be higher.
Make that case.
I'm just fundamentally we're starting him down with, yes, he is a good, decent person, but ultimately just like a teenage bastard in a castle. And over the course of the books, he becomes like a brave, resilient leader who goes through many sacrifices in order to basically not just save civilization to the south of the wall from an impending apocalyptic threat, but also save the civilization north of the wall, despite all the issues that does fundamentally cause. Like he is the hero. He is the ultimate hero of everyone who's on the screen so far. Like he is trying to save He's trying to save civilization itself. He's trying to save life itself.
You've convinced me. A little higher.
It's not like every book he's like, I'm becoming more moral and more compassionate. Like he's still from the get-go, he is a compassionate person. Although
that is, I think, why I don't think he should be super duper high. I think he's working from a good baseline.
Although one thing we didn't mention is that he does become more empathetic towards the lowborns on the Night's Watch and the wildlings. Yeah.
That's a
because
good
he's
point.
still from a place of privilege, and he learns to kind of respect people like Gren and Pip, who are lower born, and also the wildlings. I think he belongs, and not all the way at the very top, but like I think, like, yeah, let's nudge him a bit up there.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm doing. This chart is both really cool and also slightly confusing.
Yeah, that's fair. Daenerys.
Oh, Danny, Big D. Big D don't play. Okay. Ooh, Daenerys.
I think she is
Daenerys is a character
further...
in
What was that?
a Game of Thrones. No, nothing.
Yeah. I think she's slightly further to the right than Jon as a baseline.
Is she?
I would say so. Jon's got a little bit of a mean streak, especially in the first book.
He does.
With, like, the new recruits, and he wants to kill Marcella.
Daenerys is just she's just kind of scared. She's just kind of a scared girl. But yeah, she doesn't have the Jon mean streak, so I do think she belongs. But she's less sort of actively a beloved leader like Ned is.
Yes.
At the start of the book, so she's going to the left of Ned. Let's just put her here so we can see her. And then getting better or getting worse.
Better.
She
liberates an entire region of the world from slavery.
First, she came for the slave masters, and I did nothing.
That I need to do a video on that scene. Like, oh my god. I need to rewatch season 8 first because I've never done that. But oh my god,
me neither. I want to rewatch the whole show, but with the commentary tracks from the DVDs. I feel like that'd be cool.
I think Daenerys is above Jon in getting better.
Yeah, she's seeking to like change the world,
and it's also
she's crushing.
I think it's
slavery, the system of slavery,
than what Jon is doing. Because like Jon, I feel like there is an otherworldly enemy that is descending on him and is going to kill everyone. And that's a hell of a motivator for a lot of the parties involved. Whereas Daenerys is like dealing with a lot more complex politics.
However, as she herself admits in Dance, she's liberating places and then abandoning them to move on to the next one. She's acting like a conqueror and not in Dance, at the end of Storm, which is why she stays in Marine, because she's acting like a conqueror and not a... She does, but she does make the mistake of conquering the previous two cities and then moving on from them.
But she learns.
She does learn. But then in the very last chapter of Dance,
she doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything. She's not taking any bad actions.
She hasn't taken action yet, but her mind's wandering in a certain place into a fire and blood, baby. Fire and blood. You gotta be ruthless. Fuck all this ruling. It's all too complicated.
I think that Daenerys could run the Night's Watch. I do not think Jon Snow could run Marine.
I mean, Daenerys can't run Marine, so what are we talking about?
That's a good point.
She's doing a useless...
She's done a pretty good job as compared to literally anyone else.
Was it you who had the beautiful take that the Marine chapters are deliberately fucking boring and slow and complicated and dumb because it's meant to reflect how Daenerys is viewing Marine? That's the worst. That's worse than Anguy the Archer being on your Trial of Seven.
It's true. It's the politics of peace. It is what does peace need to exist.
In no way does needing a character to be bored and also confused justify the actual chapters themselves being boring and confusing for the reader. I also think the
chapters have more of a reputation for being boring and confusing, if I could speak, than they actually are.
I'm not basing it off of fan reputation or anything. I distinctly remember reading them for the first time, and I groaned every time I turned the page and it said Daenerys during Dance. And it took me ages to get through Daenerys chapters because it was such a slog. It was such a boring slog, and just because it's a boring slog for Daenerys doesn't mean it should be a boring slog for the reader. That's just bad writing, and I don't think it was intentional. I think it's intentionally confusing, not intentionally boring.
Fair. And I do think I forget who I was talking with. This might have been when I was on Nauticast, but they brought up a really good point that I feel like the biggest failing of Daenerys' story that really shows in A Dance with Dragons is that she's a pretty lackluster supporting cast, at least up until everyone's going to arrive for the Battle of Fire, which I do think also hurts her chapters. But overall, morally, I think
Esso's characters in general are just a bit... There's something a bit odd about them. They're all kind of like. Anyway, sorry, not to interrupt. Yes, okay.
Slightly above Jon Snow, I would say.
I feel like I don't know what I feel like she's equal to Jon Snow.
Thank you, Kenny, in the chat. If you want an intentionally boring video, subscribe to Fantasy Haven's YouTube channel.
The Daenerys chapters of YouTube. I'm the YouTube equivalent of Daenerys chapters in Dance with Dragons. Wait, doesn't Daenerys like? I think Daenerys needs to go under Jon Snow, and that's not foreshadowing for A Dream of Spring, because she's a lot more ruthless than Jon is.
She play in that space. What do you mean?
She do be crucifying the Masters, and I'm not doing a Tyrion argument here.
They deserved it.
No, but there's a difference between like executing brutal slave masters versus like torturously stringing them up and crucifying them. An eye for an eye, brother. Makes the whole world go blind.
She's also, I think she's learning, you know?
She do be learning.
Jon also does some pretty morally bad things, I would say.
She burns
the baby swap?
The baby swap is diabolical, I'm not gonna lie.
That is on a personal level deeply evil.
That is very evil, but she doesn't crucify the baby. He doesn't crucify the baby.
Yet.
Did you see that meme where it was like, when Penny visits the Penny Tree and it's like a picture of Jesus being crucified?
I did not see that. That's pretty good.
Anyway,
shit.
I think Daenerys is slightly more brutal and ruthless than Jon.
I'm not going to fight you on that. As long as she's slightly further to the right than Jon is.
Yes, she is a... Sure, okay, yeah. Sure.
Okay. What else we got?
Someone in the chat's also saying Daenerys burned Mary Masdar alive. That was kind of...
Who hasn't?
That was... She... For the crime of killing a brutal warlord...
She's a girl boss.
Punishment, you are to be burnt to death. No, Daenerys is below Jon.
She killed a baby. Miri did.
No, that's true. That is true.
Move Daenerys back up a little bit.
No, just a little bit. The baby hadn't been born yet. Should we get into that argument? Should we? The
baby was being born. Okay. Anyway, super chat from Mall of America. Thank you very much. Quote, I was trying to win the throne to save the kingdom when I should have been trying to save the kingdom to win the throne. The best Stannis quote, which shows he has the capacity to learn morality. I agree wholeheartedly. I just don't think he's really had the chance to fully follow through on all that yet, just because his arc is still in progress. Let's see.
Yes, and someone respond. Oh yeah, and the person who sent that super chat responded to their own super chat saying, when Bookborn talks about not understanding the Stannis the Manus love, I always want to point to this quote.
I would agree.
There's a reason Stannis has fans, bro. Also, Bookborn is great. Check out Bookborn.
Did you see that video I sent in the Discord?
I haven't watched it yet. But
Martin sent her books. They're like signed and inscribed.
What the fuck, man? She's only been doing this for like a year or so. Where's our email from George's team being like? Because I got
a gift for him from him. Did you when you met him?
I got the gift of silence.
That's true, and a picture of you on his blog.
That's true. No, do you reckon? No, I don't think George is perusing YouTube. I reckon his team of minions just show him videos now and then.
That's probably
there is a non-zero chance that he has been shown Quinn GM or.
I hope not.
Perhaps even Fantasy Haven. I would be surprised. I don't think it's the kind of thing he'd care for, but.
Another super chat from Mall of America. Jon's 100 child hostages. My biggest pet theory is that in wins, they'll become his Friedekin equivalent from Dune as religious warrior followers. That's really cool. I don't know much about Dune.
They're like his his Praetorian Guard from what I remember. Basically, like kind of like guerrilla fighters, quite fanatical. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
I don't want to do any Dune stuff. I don't want to step on the other Quinn's toes any further than I already have.
I mean, the only reason I found you is because I went, damn, Quinn's Ideas has a second channel.
Who do you want to do next? We have a couple more super chats. We'll get that in a second.
All right, shall we do a nice easy one? A nice simple one?
Sure.
Tyrion. Oh, sorry, did I say Sim?
I had
Sim?
two
Well,
ideas in my head as to what you were going to say, and it was Tyrion or it was Areo.
Let's do Tyrion just because he's on the thumbnail.
Okay.
Oh boy, right. Where is he by the time we get to a Game of Thrones?
I would say he's not
particularly
a bad person at that point.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a bit of a mess of a human being, but like he's not a bad person.
I would say slightly on the bad person side, just because, I don't know.
Why?
A number of reasons that I don't feel like elaborating on.
But before the main book series?
Yes.
What am I missing here? Well, isn't he just a bit of a drunk?
Yeah,
He's
I'm
a bit
trying
of a
to
mess.
think. I feel like, I don't know.
He's a bit of a whoremonger. I mean, you could argue that. Wait, no. I was going to bring up Tysha, but he was a kid at the time, so I don't think the weirdness of that situation isn't really. I'm not sure. What has he done?
I don't know, but I don't feel like he should be on the good side of things.
See, I thought so too, but like, I don't think we have a justification for him. But like everything
Someone in
he
chat,
does
find justification.
Everything he does that's evil is over the course of the books. Before the book, he's just like a guy.
That is true, which I think means he is probably going to be at the bottom.
Oh, fucking without question. But like, he hits children, brackets Joffrey.
Good point.
Tyrion breaks Marillion's hand for no reason. Yeah, but that's in Game of Thrones. We're talking like before his arc starts, a Game of Thrones. He's just a guy. Like, I don't think he's described as doing anything.
So hear me out.
I
think he would be on the line in the center. I would say just put him on the slightly bad side, both because of space and because if people post this out of context.
No, you coward! You utter coward! He is not a bad person before the book start. He does nothing. No one can name anything pre-book one. Everyone's talking about stuff in the book.
He's guilty of being a dwarf.
Counterpoint: he killed his mother. Okay,
that's a good point.
That's fucked up.
What about all the stuff he confesses to at the Vale?
Yo, the
I just watched that scene.
Damn. But does that happen in the books?
Good question. I don't have my copy of Game right next to me. I only have Feast right next to me.
Because if it does, that can justify him being slightly bad if he's like...
He embarrasses Tywin.
Wait, who is this? Who's this Tywin stan in the chat?
That's Jaime Lannister right there.
Oh, it literally is. Damn. His name's Jaime Lannister.
I would say, I mean, Lannister regime generally... Evil? Question mark.
No, you are why are you so desperate for Tyrion to be? He's not a bad person before the book start.
Okay.
He's like Quentyn Martell. He's just a guy. He's not necessarily a really good guy.
Put him in line with Quentyn. Put him at literally the bottom.
Getting worse. Yeah. I won't put him all the way at the bottom just because I think there's room for him to keep going.
I can go lower.
He can go lower. Like, he has not peaked. He hasn't yet got to the point where he is explicitly
He hasn't even begun to peak.
He's like telling Daenerys, this is what we are going to do, and like actually enacting mass death and like brutality and invasion against Westeros.
It's great.
Just to like clarify why he's there. He's a murderer. He kills a bard.
He kills Shay. Who doesn't attack him in the books. That is a massive change that I hate that is not talked about enough.
Yeah, no, I mean that whole episode, like you said.
Yeah, that is. I stand by my critique of that episode.
The problem is,
one.
Without the Tysha reveal, he doesn't have.
No, he's just in a normal mindset. Pushing him.
Well, I wouldn't say normal. Like he not normal. He's gonna get executed, and also but they also made him like, they made it so that he wasn't deluding himself about Shay, that they were genuinely in love, which is a really stupid change.
And then she tries to kill him for no reason.
Yeah, it's so dumb. And what's more annoying is that George came out and said, I actually prefer this interpretation where she where she
I
is in
think
love
Martin
with Tyrion,
is just
which
biased
is
by
bullshit.
his love for Shay's actress.
He's biased because he's watched a bunch of her videos and he didn't want to say something negative. He's biased because he's a damn simp for some of that Turkish German. Oh.
Anyway, I think we're good with Tyrion's placement. No.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, we don't even need to get into what he does in the fifth book to that one woman.
Thank you to Toxicor for the super chat. Hello, Quindus and Althaven X. I love both you guys' content. Q, would you guys rather live in Westeros or Essos? Love from Texas. Good question.
Essos is just fucking wild.
There are parts of Essos that could be really nice to live in.
I think the issue is we don't know enough about Essos. We don't know enough about Essos in comparison. Bravos, would you want to live in a city where the faceless men are located? That's kind of terrifying. That is terrifying. You join them, probably.
That's true. Bravos could be good. Highgarden, I think, would be better. I think the Reach is my #1 pick.
The Reach. What about Dawn?
I prefer colder temperatures. I don't know. Not that the Reach is cold, but like I don't think I'd do well in a desert.
Cold-blooded lawyer over here.
Yeah. Also, I'm Irish. I burn like paper.
I burn too. Oh my god, I was out in the sun for like an hour last week. My face is still recovering. It was like bright red when I got home. It was like fully sunburned. It was terrible. But because I don't get enough sun in England, I'm craving that like sunny, warm dawn. However, I'm a complete bitch when it comes to spice, so I don't think I could survive the cuisine. I think I'd be Aristocrat.
Old Town would be nice.
Old Town,
like biggest city in the realm that isn't King's
legit
Landing?
Studying at the Citadel, but maybe. Like studying casually, studying at the Citadel like a uni student, and not like
so like you can still marry without the murder.
Yeah, like you don't have to like give up a claim to anything or give up marriage or sex or anything, but you just kind of study there for fun, like Oberyn. You just rock up and like just study. My backup, Southern Reach.
My backup is Vase Dothrak, but other than that.
Why? Why?
I've always wanted to ride a horse.
There are horses throughout the entire world. You don't specifically have to go to...
Yeah, but they have those big statues.
Coven of old ladies who are like, ugh. You want to ride a statue of a horse?
Yes.
Specifically, okay.
Also, thank you from Super Chat from Stromboli Steve. My boy Belwas the Brave deserves the absolute top right corner for eating an entire bowl of poison to save his queen.
But I mean, he doesn't do it to save her. He does it because he's a hungry bastard.
I saw some theory recently. Shit, I forget who it was. Chat will tell me, I hope. There was a good theory recently that Belwas is maybe more, like, intelligent and, like, scheming than he looks. And he might be, like, in league with Illyrio, which I find quite interesting.
I mean, he is a fundamentally strange character, isn't he?
And he was sent by Illyrio.
He is. He's just, like, a random soldier guy who's sent by Illyrio who's a bit kind of goofy and a bit dumb, and he's protected. Like, he is... Is there more to him, or is he just a kind of... strange Essos-ism?
I think there could be more to him. I think it's a direction that Martin could take with the character.
Here's a video idea for you. Strong Belwas, the personification of Essos. He's kind of fun, but he's also kind of goofy and cartoonish and over the top, and maybe there's more to him deep down, but we haven't been given it yet.
That's actually, I really like that idea. Hey, also, how about never hearing the word Essos in all 5 books?
That's crazy. One of those many facts that you learn when you stop reading the books and start looking at all the theories.
Somewhat Annoyed Llama was the source of that theory on Belwas. Thank you very much, chat.
Shout out to the llama.
Yeah. Also, very good video on Cersei's trial of 7. I think it was ahead of the curve on that one.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like these days, I think that's more of a common idea. Cersei having a trial of 7. He got to that like 6 months before everybody else did.
Damn.
Which I was very impressed by. And I do need to discuss my thoughts on a Cersei Trial 7 at some point, because I do think there will be one, but we shall see. Belwas, what do you think?
Belwas, morally, I think he's kind of...
Areo Hotah tier?
He's Areo Hotah tier, and then over the course of the books, he just... What does he do that's like... He just
eats liver and onion, maybe gets head trauma. Have you seen that theory?
No. What?
There's some point in like I think it's Late Clash or Early Storm, where Belwas takes a really bad hit to the head, and he does not refer to himself in the third person before that incident.
Incredible.
I would say, I up to you. Dealer's choice. Put him where you want.
I think he's just dead in the middle. Like he doesn't become. He's like. He's just ordered to protect a queen, and that's what he does. And he's not particularly good or bad, and he doesn't really change over the course of the books. He's just a guy.
Speaking of, can we throw Areo in there too?
Yeah, honestly, let's get Areo. Belwas and Areo are part of the. Hold on, I'm gonna give them a.
Yeah, change the color to like black. Also, not a film major. You just sent a super chat without a super chat. If you want to give a suggestion, just let me know in the chat.
Black was the worst color you could have chosen.
Oh, really?
What were you cooking? Yeah.
Well, you definitely can't see the red.
Why is it a different font now? Why is it a different font?
I don't know. What have you done?
I don't know what's. Oh no! Wait, hold on. Can I get a good? Oh, ooh. Yeah, let's go with that. That looks so ugly. All right.
Hit outline on effects when you have the text highlighted and make sure you're.
Oh yeah, no. I know. I use Canva for all my thumbnails. Thank you very much. Oh, that's more like it. There we go. Oh, beautiful. It's nice and thick. Oh, that's lovely. There we go. I'm proud of that one.
Oh, I did. Hold on 1 second. There was a super chat that I need to go.
And then Areo.
Back to here.
We don't even need to discuss Areo. Bro's he's just fucking in the middle.
That is correct. We have a Trial of 7 roster here to assess, Haven.
Oh, no.
From Jester's Jinx, thank you very much. The team is 1, Sir Arthur Dayne. Boo. 2, Sir Barristan Selmy. 3, Aemon the Dragon Knight. 4, King Robert. 5, Sir Duncan. 6, Sir Garland. 7, Sandor. I think that's pretty much objectively the best one could do. Other than maybe Garland. I know why Garland is picked. There's a very specific reason.
Why is Garland there?
It's said that Garland trains against like 4 knights at once.
Okay.
Which people think is good for Trials of 7. I've gotten a couple comments to that effect. Which I guess
I have one major issue with this selection, which is good luck knighting Sandor.
True, that is a great point.
Yeah, he would not he has to be a knight to take part, and he will refuse. He refused to do it when joining the fucking Kingsguard. He is not doing. You do not have this. You need to find a 7th. You gotta find a 7th.
I was trying to read what it says in the center, and it appears to say Parios.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. Should I put? Let's put Belwas slightly below Areo. Because Areo is full on neutral, and Belwas is like he did poo on a guy after killing him.
That's a great point.
So he can go slightly. He can go slightly below. There we go. In the show, it's a we. It's Dario doing a little piss, which is slightly classier.
Let's see. What's next?
In every live stream, Areo wants to grill.
Oh, Longshanks. Thank you very much. Dunk and Egg, and Lord Bloodraven if he counts. I'd say for now, let's stick to Dunk and Egg just for sake of time. Because also, Bloodraven is hard to measure. I don't really think he has much of an arc, and that's what we're measuring here. Right?
Yeah, Dunk and Egg. I mean, it's not even... That's not a Song of Ice and Fire.
That's close enough.
I feel like... Wait... We don't really know enough about their arc because we only have 3 novellas.
I would say let's look at those 3 novellas as we currently have them, because I mean the main series is unfinished too.
I don't know. I would say Longshanks, you bastard. Pick another name.
Longshanks is upset that I did not read out Cuckraven, which is what he wrote.
See, I've heard Bitter Cuck. I haven't heard Cuckraven before.
Yeah.
I guess they both are cucks.
I think
we should stick. I think I'm just Dunk and Egged out is the thing.
That's fair.
There's been too much Dunk and Egg Discord. Wait, Dunk.
We'll lightning round Dunk and Egg.
All right, let's go Dunk.
Dunk. I would say as far as you can go on good person. Yep. Do we think he gets better or worse?
Over the 3 novellas we have?
Probably better, right?
Does he change at all?
Not much. I think he does some. I think he learns a lot.
But not in terms of morality.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
guess
mean?
so.
He does learn a lot of lessons, but he fundamentally remains the hedge knight nobody who punches a prince to protect a maiden fair.
Which is evil.
You know? Which is very misogynistic and objectifying, so maybe he needs to go down to bottom right.
I would say near where Ned is. Slightly further down, slightly further to the right.
Let's put Dunk there. Let's put little Dunky Dunk there.
And Egg, he gets a lot more evil, correct?
He gets a lot more hard-boiled, you could say.
Oh, he's a detective.
Ooh.
Detective.
Detective Egg, are you kidding me? Does he change in the first 3 books either? Like,
I mean, he grows up a bit. He goes from like being 8 to being 11.
Yeah, matures a bit. He definitely is a bit more.
I would say he becomes a better person for traveling with Dunk.
Yeah, because he's a tad pompous to begin with.
Yes.
Not to any absurd degree, but like, yeah. So I'd say he's good, but he's like a little bit arrogant.
Yeah, I'd say he's a little higher up than Dunk is.
Yeah, he does become a good person. The whole point of traveling is that he becomes half a peasant himself, the peasant king.
I think, and for reference, for all, I see someone in the chat is talking about Summerhall. Longshanks is referencing Summerhall. I think we're gonna not rank that later part of their lives because we don't know anything.
Yeah,
about
no.
Because I do think Dunk, like as he becomes a Kingsguard, almost certainly makes moral compromises, as is the case with the Kingsguard, which we discussed like an hour and a half ago.
We know that potentially Dunk survives, maybe.
Oh my god.
and we know that Dunk sleeps with Lord Selwyn Tarth's wife and fathers Brienne.
This is true.
At Summerhall, 77-year-old Dunk fathers Brienna Summerhall. It's the greatest theory. Okay.
What else we got?
What else?
From Not a Film Major. Love your content. Whichever is more interesting, Hoster Tully or Wyman Manderley? I think Wyman is probably the more interesting
Wyman?
of those two.
What kind of a question is that? Whoever's more interesting. Oh, yeah, let's do Hoster Tully.
Hoster Tully is just pretty objectively evil, I would say.
I wouldn't use the word evil. I think he's. I
would.
He's a bad father. I wouldn't say evil.
Evil.
Is it evil to trick your daughter into killing her child without her permission?
Yes.
Is that evil? Is how do we define evil? If that's evil, I guess I'm evil.
I didn't know you had a daughter.
All right, no. I have a few.
Oh. Haven Hill.
Haven Hill, Haven Rivers. Haven Rivers is my son, actually. Anyway, Wyman Manderley.
Wyman Manderley. I would imagine he doesn't appear in the series much until A Dance with Dragons. And
he's just a guy.
Then, I would imagine he's kind of a normal guy, right?
He's in Clash, and he's just like a guy.
Yeah, he was like at the feast at Winterfell.
Yeah.
So, just like...
I mean, he's got some cool ideas. He's like, yo, Rob, I got this idea. We need to mint some coinage with your face on it. Let me build up the fleet a bit. You know, he is cooking. But he's just a guy. And then Dance is when
he's
all
completely
about...
off the wall.
People do not talk enough about how Wyman Manderley is a crazy person.
Yes.
People are like, he's badass. He has a cool speech. He's a schemer. He's really fun. It's like he went out of his way to murder 3 Freys, which is fully understandable. And then cook them into pies, and then serve them to other people, including one of their fathers.
And then ate it himself.
Eat it himself. And then he asked for seconds, Quinn. He asked for seconds. Ugh. I feel like Frey pie tastes like sour milk.
I would put Wyman in the neighborhood of Tyrion, not quite that bad. I'd put him he's in line with Tyrion horizontally, but in line with Stoneheart vertically.
He starts off like Areo, basically, where he's just a guy, and then he's like murderer, cannibal.
Maybe on the other side of the wall, like slightly on the bad person side.
Yeah, just so the honestly, let me just because like
thank you.
Let's do that. And then is he worse than
Stannis doesn't eat anybody.
He wants to burn a child. Like I say, I'm now going back on everything I've said before. Stannis assassinated his brother.
This is what it takes.
Burn his own nephew.
He was trying to kill Renly.
I'm a contrarian. It's like whatever's currently the thing that I'm not supposed to believe in, I believe in, or vice versa. Wyman, okay. Wyman's not. He murdered. Okay, the most evil. I don't think he does anything evil beyond murdering 3 people who themselves are murderers or.
And who
or
among us? Murder, let's not cast any stones in this here glass house.
Has not cooked and prepared and wrapped up in pastry.
I've not read the official Ice and Fire cookbook, but I assume that is its contents.
The fact that there genuinely is not like a Frey pie. No, there is a White Harbor pie, I think.
Okay.
I made it. It wasn't very nice. It needed more seasoning. It was very plain, but it was like a trencher filled with a stew, and it was very plain.
I will take your word for that.
I have a cooking video, guys. It's fun, but the audio's really fucking bad, so no one's watched it. Like the click-through rate is like people watch the first 5 minutes and dip because the audio. So I do apologize. Anyway, no, Wyman. Let's put him with Stannis.
Yeah, I think they're of a birds with a feather. You know.
I think he belongs in the middle. He belongs dead in the middle. I think we just give him. I'm just gonna give him red. Make the text red.
Yeah.
So that people can see him. We're too scared of putting them in the middle because people won't see it. That shouldn't be what we're basing the ranking of. He's in the middle, and I think he's kind of. I'm still trying to work out. Is he Stannis? I know I'm spending too much time on this. Is he Stannis adjacent? Is he slightly more evil than Stannis?
I would say he's slightly more evil than Stannis.
Stannis's intentions are more kind of, even if he's deluding themselves, are more like, I deserve the throne because it's my right and I'm being dutiful and I want to save the realm. Whereas Wyman is like, I don't need to kill these Freys. And even if I did kill them, I could just throw them in a ditch. I don't need to
It's just pure vengeance.
I don't need to eat them and serve them. Yeah, okay. Wyman goes down there. Not Lady Stoneheart tier. Because Lady Stoneheart is targeting people who haven't done anything.
Kind of Wyman's similar characters, now that I think about it. Just Wyman doesn't have the excuse of literally coming back from the dead.
The Hangman. Imagine an alternate universe where Wyman's the leader of the Brotherhood.
It'd be like that. Have you seen Always Sunny?
I have.
There's an episode where Frank tries to hang himself, but his neck is too fat, so he can't.
He's just dangling.
Nobody stop me.
Nobody stop me. Then it just breaks.
Connoisseur again. Thank you. Is Varys even possible to rank? We can try.
What kind of a comment is that? Of course, that's a challenge if I ever heard.
So we have a concrete answer to this one. There is a correct answer.
Oh, okay. And I'm sweating here.
George R. R. Martin texted Conleth Hill and said, fundamentally, Varys is a good person.
And George was wrong. Death of the author.
That is correct.
Varys is an evil person. He's
no. Who doesn't have an army of children who are mute doing their bidding?
He manipulates children into basically being his slaves, and he cuts out their tongues and pays them in something. In the show, they're paid in sweeties.
Candy?
By Qyburn Fagan pays them in candy, which is one of the dumbest fucking things in the show that no one talks about.
It's not great.
I remember. Yeah. Anyway, and he's deliberately causing chaos and bloodshed to soften the realm up for an invasion to get the ideal person in his mind on the throne. And even then, we don't know why he wants that person on the throne. Is it because he was a test tube grown in a lab to be the perfect ruler, or is it more like that's his nephew and he's a Blackfire, or that's Illyrio's son and Illyrio's his friend, or there's clearly a personal,
you know what I think, right?
Like to it. What?
You
think he's a bright flame?
Yeah,
bright flame Varys. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on that one, honestly.
I wouldn't be if there wasn't that one random prophecy from Quaithe referencing bright dragons in play in A Dance with Dragons. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, Varys, bad person, pretty clearly.
Bad person.
I don't know if he's on the level of Euron or Tywin.
Before the events of the main book, what does he do that's bad beyond generally being a spy master and a thief?
I would say
also
Aerys,
lying to the Mad King as well. like fucking him up a bit.
Yeah, I would say that he
don't
was
know what
definitely
he
a
was playing.
contributing factor in the decline of the Mad King.
Yeah, I think he's a bad fundamentally bad. And then all the murders and destabilizing the realm, etc. Even if the intention is ultimately good in his eyes, he is.
I would put him around Stannis' level, but halfway between Tywin and Lancel.
Yeah, Wyman's down here because he's doing stuff sadistically. Stannis and Varys are like, this is for the good of the realm.
Yes,
which is honestly, I do love.
Wait, just flag on the
like
play
that.
here. As you've currently positioned it, Varys is less evil at the start of the series than Lancel Lannister.
My bad. Might be. All right, there we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Wait, sorry, hold on. Wait, now that I'm thinking about it, is Barristan less evil than Lancel Lannister?
You know what? I don't even know why Lance was there, to be honest. He's just like because he was arrogant. No, but Barristan is worse because oh my god. Let's just adjust this. Is Varys?
Oh. Jester's Jinx, who was the one who sent that Trial of Seven roster earlier, had a reply with the team they would be fighting as well, which I'd missed. That being Jaime, Daemon Blackfire, Gerald Hightower, Cregan Stark, Ryam Redwine, Oberyn Martell, and Gregor Clegane. I think Hightower is kind of on fraud watch. He doesn't really do anything, kind of Arthur Dane-like.
Man, shout out to Ryam Redwine.
Yeah, really.
Considered one of the worst hands of all time.
But one of the best Kingsguard.
Hey.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Okay, who's next? What are you thinking?
Okay, another POV.
Let's do a few more, I'd say.
Aris Oakheart, very important.
Let's do Jon
I
Connington.
did that as Who's that?
I don't know. I haven't read the books.
We're doing Aris right now. I don't know who Jon Con is.
Oh, okay.
Aris Oakheart. So at the start of the books, he is. Oh no! I was kind of being a bit ironic, but it is kind of interesting.
It is. Aris is more
few...
interesting than you'd expect.
He's one of the few noble members. I sometimes forget that he exists. Before.
I mean, he does still hit Sansa,
but gently. He doesn't hit her.
Also,
as hard
I meant to. We didn't
other...
really talk about Areo when we put him there because, like, he isn't really much of a character. But I do think there's potential to give Areo a really interesting arc in relation to his morality, with like Duran's orders becoming like worse from a moral standpoint and him still being bound to them. It's what the fanfic has done with Areo, and I've quite liked it. But I also don't think Martin has time to do that, and I don't think we're going to get that.
One of these days I will break and read the fanfic.
That's fair. It's good. I like it.
Right. Yeah, he's ordered to beat a kid and he does it instead of saying no, which is shitty, but he does try to be gentle and he is chivalrous to her. And when he's sent down south, he breaks his vows and sleeps with Arianne Martell. I don't think that necessarily makes him a bad person. It makes him a bad Kingsguard. It doesn't make him a bad person for smashing those Dornish walls.
Longshanks just sent in about 20 in a super chat. I'm going to ask you to pick like one or two of those, please.
Bro really thought we would rank all of them off of a £5 super chat. Hey, he's a Brit as well. Shout out. Now, we should do all of them. He's British. He's paid in pound sterling. We should do everything he sent.
What do we think about Aris Oakheart?
Aris Oakheart, what does he... Okay, I'm kind of focusing on him sleeping with Arianne and not with him basically like betraying the crown.
Yes.
And going along with the plan to crown Myrcella, which he doesn't know that it's going to start a war, right? Because Arianne's whole shtick is...
I think he could make that leap.
Yeah, he is that, and he is ultimately doing it for Martussi, which is kind of a shallow reason to betray the crown and potentially start a war. You know?
I would say he starts as a slightly bad person and gets slightly worse.
Bro folded under zero
like kind
pressure.
of mirror Quentyn, I would say.
Yeah.
Longshanks is clarified to Bowen Marsh and Quaithe.
Quaithe. Let's do Quaithe. Okay.
How has Quaithe's morality evolved over the course of A Song of Ice and Fire?
Okay, well, in her one chapter, she starts by saying hello, but then she doesn't say goodbye, which is kind of rude.
Well,
So,
she's in 3 books. She's in Clash,
oh
she's in
shit,
Storm,
she
she's
is.
in Dance.
What is she? How are we? How the fuck are we ranking Quaithe? There's nothing. She's just like a cryptic riddle machine. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
there.
I would say the riddles get a little more sinister. Like it seems like at a point she's kind of
We're
feeding...
not doing Quaithe. We're not doing Quaithe. We're not doing Quaithe. That's you. Okay, Bowen Marsh, fine.
Bowen Marsh is an interesting one.
The old pomegranate.
Yes. I always forget he's in the first season of Game of Thrones.
He's in. Yeah.
I don't think he's in any.
They kept the same actor.
What?
Here he is. He. What do you mean? Yeah, he stabs Jon.
What?
Bro, don't tell me you don't know this. Bowen Marsh
It's been
in
a
the
minute
show
since I've seen
kill
season
Jon.
5.
Bowen Marsh and Othel Yarwick, and the same actors who play them in season 1, are part of the gang who stabbed Jon Snow, and they're one of the 4 people who are hanged by Jon Snow when he's resurrected. It's Bowen Marsh, Othel Yarwick, Ollie, and Alistair Thorne, which is funny because when Jon Snow is stabbed at the end of season 5, it's 6 people who do it, and he only hangs 4. So like the other 2 just get away with it.
Also, Longshanks has amended his suggestion to something interesting, which I am okay with. That being Sandor.
That's more like
that is an interesting one.
Bowen Marsh and Sandor.
Kenny is requesting the real Bowen Marsh as a video from you as well.
Oh yeah.
So Bowen Marsh.
Bro really put Quaithe. Why did you think? What did you think we were going to say about Quaithe? What discussion did you possibly think we would say about Quaithe's moral arc over the course of?
It's very complex.
A Song of Ice and Fire fans are motherfuckers. Be like, do a video about House Peckledon. Like, think before you
do
speak.
A video about House Sunglasses. Video?
How am I doing a House Sunglass? How am I ranking on a morality chart Lord Gunser Sunglass? You know what I mean? Like.
So Bowen Marsh, I would say, is slightly on the good person side.
I gotta stop crashing out on live streams. Yeah, he's a decent fella.
He seems fine.
He's a nice guy,
but
friendly.
Gets worse.
He doesn't get worse. What does he do? Try to protect his people? Ooh, is that such a big deal?
The mutiny is not great.
Okay, he didn't need to stab a teenage boy. However, that teenage boy did let in a bunch of goddamn savages.
Well, no, that's not even the reason he does it. You're too show-pilled.
No, well, it contributes. The straw that breaks the camel's back is said teenage boy breaking his vows to march down south and get involved in politics and attack Winterfell. Thank you very much. It contributes. It's all of Jon's things and everything he does builds up to the mutiny. Of course, the wildlings going south is a huge reason, but the straw that breaks the camel's back is the pink letter stuff, right?
Yes.
So, Bowen Marsh, he's trying to protect his people from the wildling menace. He's trying to stop the Night's Watch from being turned into Jon Snow's fucking private army to get revenge on.
That is fair.
A personal political matter, like. I kind of started this as a joke, but like honestly, Bowen Marsh is like his motivations from his perspective.
Well, okay,
are quite just.
I think his motivation in like the direct lead up to like the straw that broke the camel's back, as you said it, is incredibly justified. The rest, I would say, probably isn't.
What's not just I think being concerned about the wildlings coming in.
I feel like Bowen Marsh's perspective
is.
I don't know.
I mean, he didn't do anything to help Jon Snow with it. He just complained and went, we can't possibly do this, when it's like, well, you could try and make it work instead of just complaining. But it's also highly justified to be like, I don't want these people from north of the wall who are known for raiding and raping and reaving and kidnapping to come down south in such large numbers. Help me.
I would say he would be on the level of Eris Oakheart. Both are people who are doing coups.
They're doing coups and they're doing quite vile things to ensure.
All because they're in love with someone. Who goes ahead?
Who's Bowen Marsh in love with?
Jon?
Oh, he's jealous of Val. That's
and Satin.
Yeah, no, he is.
That's why he hates Satin.
he murders a teenager when he didn't need to do that. And
Yes.
to be fair, here's the thing as well: the Jon Snow, yes, him going, but he wanted to take wildlings south to attack Winterfell. He wasn't taking the Night's Watch with him.
Well, no, he says that he invites the Black Brothers to join him
of their own accord.
Yes, which I would say is still
Owen
enough.
Marsh could have just been like, yeah. He could have been like, let Jon go, and when he's gone, be like, guy, like you could have had a mutiny that didn't involve killing him. When he's gone, be like, he has now broken his vows. He's forfeit his right to be Lord Commander. Now we elect a new one.
I think his worry was depleting the already depleted strength of the Night's Watch.
Bro, Bowen Marsh, honestly, does Bowen Marsh do anything wrong?
Yes.
Now that I think about it. I'm not, look.
Speaking of people who've never done anything wrong.
Before we move on to the one and only, I do want to make a little remark, which is, Jon is stabbed by 4 different knives.
Yes.
And there's a bit earlier on in Dance where Bowen Marsh and Whittlestick, the other stabber, are sitting and conversing with a couple of other characters, and some people theorize the other 2 are the unnamed members of the conspiracy.
Yes.
One of them is Alan of Runnymede, who's the same Night's Watch member who screams in agony like a wounded animal when a certain Night's Watch member is revealed to have been killed during the Battle of Castle Black. And the implication is that was his love, right? That was his lover, potentially. So there's an interesting thing that he may have been stabbed by someone who's like, the wildlings killed the love of my life. Fuck you for letting them through.
That's such a cool detail, and I'd never heard that
right?
before.
Yeah.
That's
Copyright Fantasy Haven. Copyright Fantasy Haven.
Wow. Haven read the books, guys.
I'm doing my own fanfic. Don't worry. Fuck Chris and Jake.
I've got
my own fanfic coming. The POV Alpha of Runnymede chapter will go crazy. Okay, Sandor Clegane.
Bad.
Oh my
person.
God. Very bad. Okay, before the start of the books, what does he do that's bad?
Enforce the Lannister regime.
But does he?
If there was a Micah right after the book started, I imagine there were Micahs before the book started.
You imagine? You got any facts about his past, bro?
No. I am trying to use propensity evidence, which is not typically allowed.
He is. I'd say you could.
He is on the bad side of the scale.
Let's say he's on the bad side initially in terms of. In terms of when we meet him in a Game of Thrones.
Lee in the chat brings up that he did steal his brother's toy.
That is... Oh, yes, and he has killed people. Yeah, he is on the bad end of the spectrum initially. The personality he has in that first book...
Yes, you do not get that from being moral.
Yeah, so he is on the bad end of the spectrum, and then over the course of the book, he murders a child on the orders of a king and then laughs about it, even if the laugh is like a kind of a larpy, cynical... Yeah. I fucking hate my life.
Dark Star-esque.
He still does it. He beats Sansa, although he's not as harsh about it.
He saves Sansa.
He saves Sansa, which is good.
He offers to free her, like to take. That's I would say more than anybody else in King's Landing does.
He offers to rescue her. But when he offers to rescue her, he also puts a dagger to her throat. He's like, "Sing me a song because I'm sad." And he also tells Arya later that he was initially planning to go to Sansa to force himself on her, but he could also be lying to Arya then. In fact, the whole Hound Sansa thing is very...
lying to Arya. I think that's...
I agree, but... And see, when I made my real Hound video, I was like, it's very blatant the Hound, like, wants Sansa for himself in a sexual, borderline romantic way. Some people were coping in the comments being like, no, the relationship isn't like that. It's more of a kind of, like... paternal thing, and that you're misinterpreting it, or that Sansa's misinterpreting. And I'm like, no, there's a bit where he literally looks her up and down, is like, your tits have got bigger, like he is.
Someone in the chat says that he doesn't beat Sansa, and I think that's true.
Oh no, that's true. He actually refuses to. He's the only Kingsguard member who's like, no.
Yeah.
Or he says enough, and then he just gets ignored by Joffrey. So yeah, no, that is fair, but he also wants to smash a child, which is bad, very bad.
Yes.
And he's a murderer, but then he also wants to save her.
And I
think his care for Sansa does Storm of Swords, kidnaps Arya to ransom her, to get money, but also to deliver her to a family, which is nice.
Ew super chatted asking about Skinny Pete, which is a great question. He is obviously top right corner, but we won't throw him on there.
Why Skinny Pete? Why?
That's a
Why?
great question. I don't know why specifically Skinny Pete, but continue.
God.
Hound, A Storm of Swords. He's a good mentor to Arya in certain ways.
He is.
He protects
her, defends her. Even after the Red Wedding, he's like still... Although he's helping her because after Red Wedding, he's trying to take her to the Vale, right?
Yes. And I will say the one... I've been trying to not use too many theories in this video, at least in terms of considering overall arcs. But the Gravedigger is objectively correct, I would say.
I think we kind of have to consider that canon.
To the excuse me, if I could speak. Martin specifically has said that Sandor's story will continue in future books, and I think that pretty blatantly confirms that he's alive.
If he's not the Gravedigger, then that's just very strange. It's just odd. So we have to balance him being, let's be honest, a murderous pedophile, with him genuinely looking after and protecting kids, and also like abandoning a life of violence.
I would move him slightly further to the left, but then the upper side of the thing. Below Mance, I would say.
Getting better?
Yes. Because I do think that...
Because of Gravedigger, he is getting better.
Yes. And I also think with Micah, I think that's more of a reflection of his state at the beginning of the series than it is his actual arc.
Yeah.
Dunk is the Gravedigger, okay. Jack says in the chat.
So are we saying that he's getting... We're saying he's getting better than Lancel. Lancel has atoned for his sins in a religious way.
Lancel the Hound also is basically killed the king.
Sandor killed a child. That's worse than killing an adult, even if the adult's
less illegal.
It is less illegal. Man, Sandor hasn't necessarily atoned. He's just like, I'm no longer leading a life of violence. That doesn't mean he's regretful of what he's done. It just means he's not, because we don't.
But I would also say that's more active than what Lancel's done.
What? No, Lancel has gone out of his way. Bro, a Gatehouse Amy is right there with her portcullis raised, and he said no and walked away. What's more active than that?
I think that, denying having been with Cersei to Jaime initially is pretty bad in terms of actually trying to redeem.
That's true, but he's like full on like wearing the hair shirt, walking barefoot, shaved his head like a weirdo.
It's all performative. It's performative. He wants
to appear. It's not performative. He's doing it for the Seven. Long live. They are risen.
I think that Lancel's performative.
He's a performative male, isn't he?
Performative male Lancel Lannister.
He was performative
I'm gonna tweet
male
that right
and
after the
after,
stream.
Just in different ways. Oh man.
All right, we have one last super chat. Our final ranking of the day. Are you ready?
I'm ready. We got to do part 2 another time, guys.
We do. That'll be on your channel. For Maiken,
I've got to have. Yeah.
George R.R. Martin.
God fucking damn it. All right. I want to write the name off screen so it looks a bit more professional when it comes in. George Ratin Martin. Correct. George Richard Raymond Martin.
That looks like we're just labeling his picture.
Yeah. Do you want to lead this?
Sure. Good person. Done. I do think it's really nice to like, I do genuinely think that George R. R. Martin is a genuinely good person. I think that's been true for all of his life, which is really cool. Like all of the stuff he did in the 60s, like anti-Vietnam War stuff. Really neat.
All right, whoa. You mean he was a coward and he didn't fight against the communist menace?
He protested against an unjust war.
The communist menace was spreading across the east. Dominoes falling McCarthy. One by one. Listen, I'm just saying. You should have picked up a rifle, private piled that shit.
We might not have never gotten this
Vietnam.
Series.
That's true. No, he would not have survived Vietnam. Bro would have been cooked. God damn. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Anyway, the chances we should use a picture for him. Let's do that.
Oh, that's a good idea. So He's a good guy. From all accounts, he's like really sweet. Everyone
Yeah.
says nothing but positive things about him.
And I
Unless
think
you're
he's
fighting
getting
Condor.
better, very
I
slightly.
guess. Should we say getting worse because of the Condor beef? Or is that always becoming a bit villainous?
I think he is in the right over that beef. I do not think that is him getting worse.
Yeah, no, I think let's just glaze him
Perfect.
in case his team watches this. And
Exactly. Perfect.
There we go.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for the ranking today. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for the support. Make sure you liked the stream. Mr. Haven.
Oh my God.
Subscribe to the Fantasy Havens channel. Subscribe to this channel.
Hi.
What do you have going on, Mr. Late Lord?
I just looked up how old George R. Martin is. He's 77. That's kind of like that's kind of like 6'7", but slightly less funny.
What else do you have going on?
Oh right. Well, thank you. I've been working 4 videos for early April. I had Every Fool Explained. I had my own Trial of 7 roster videos. Both of those came out April the 1st. I recently released History of House Beesbury. Check it out. And I'm currently working on History of House Fossaway. When that's done, I'm going to take a break from making YouTube videos to work on a bunch of House of the Dragon content, which will drop during House of the Dragon to keep everyone satiated and fed and happy. I'll be doing lots and lots of live streams to make up for that. And there might be some special videos dropping here and there. But I'm going to basically become a live stream channel for 2 months while I work on... I want to drop like a different animated video every single week of Hot D. So like there'll be a bit of a drought and then you're going to drown in the Haven special sauce.
I would prefer not to do that.
No, please don't. Not until you get to England.
Anyway,
Right.
in terms of my own stuff, I have a video coming out tomorrow. It's actually already done. I was going to drop it today, but I decided to wait. Discussing the Battle of Fire. I think I've been able to piece together not only what's going to happen in this battle, but the exact order of chapters that we already have. And I'm very excited to share that, because I think I've actually plotted out exactly how the battle is going to take place in the Winds of Winter. I'll have many more videos for you as well in the near future, and more streams, I'm sure. We will have to stream and make our bingo cards for House of the Dragon Season 3.
There's a lot of streaming to do.
Yeah,
I've got lots of
next
ideas.
month,
We'll
I would
see.
assume
Yeah,
that one is.
I've got lots of stream ideas. We'll have to do more trials, more connections, dark theories.
Yeah, but anyway, thank you again. Be sure you like the stream, subscribe to both channels, and I thank you very much for joining us today.
Farewell.
Goodbye, everyone.
Scoop.